Chapter 120. Ling Armor Talisman, run. I'll block them. Xiao Wufeng shouted anxiously. The sword energy on his body was like a tide as he charged towards the group of students and Iron Men. Thank you, boss. Qin Yun shouted. Don't talk nonsense. Hurry up and run. Go back and tell Dean bye. Xiao Wufeng shouted sternly. Don't worry about me. If you don't leave quickly, no one will be able to leave. Mu Rongjun was cursing the people from Blue Spirit Star Palace. They had originally come to save someone, but now they were going to be attacked. Xiao Wufeng's strength was very strong, to actually be able to block the waves of inner strength attacking from afar. Let's go. Boss Xia has a backup plan, Hua Zhong shouted. Qin Yun gritted his teeth. He could only believe in Xiao Wufeng's strength. He secretly swore in his heart that if anything happened to Xiao Wufeng, he would never let this group of bastards off. Qin Yun and company quickly retreated from the area, splitting into 3 different directions. And behind them, there was an Iron Man chasing after them. They had to return to the 3 Mysterious Academy as soon as possible and tell Deanbai about this. Qin Yun ran alone through the forest deep in the Cloud Dragon Mountain Range. The Iron Man behind him was in hot pursuit. Damned Iron Man, watch me destroy you. If we can kill it, we can dissect it and study it. He had fought with Iron Men many times before and knew the power of Iron Men. As an inscription master, he also wanted to refine one. However, the blueprint of the Iron Man was extremely rare. The major powers that possessed the blueprint would never leak it out. The last time I competed with the Iron Man, I didn't use a forging hammer, so I was unable to break through the Iron Man's defense. If I used the giant King Spirit Hammer, I should be able to defeat the Iron Man. Qin Yun took out the giant King Spirit Hammer. As he sprinted, he suddenly leaped up and somersaulted in the air. When he landed on the Iron Man, he raised his hammer high. When the Iron Man saw someone attacking from high up in the sky, he immediately sent his arm flying and shot toward the descending Qin Yun like an arrow. Qin Yun sent the Iron Man's arm flying with his hammer. He circulated the Vajra vibration inner strength and executed the 6-style forging dragon. The sledgehammer smashed onto the Iron Man's body. Boom, 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 boom. Thunder, roar, flowing light, landslide, falling star. Just 5 moves were enough to leave many dents on the Iron Man's body. The Iron Man's head was also smashed flat. The trees within a radius of 20 to 30 meters were all shattered by the shockwave. A thick layer of soil was also blown away. Let's try the 6th move, Heaven's Collapse. Qin Yun held the hammer with both hands and struck at the Iron Man who had just stood up. The roar shook the earth, as though the sky was collapsing. Boom! The giant King Spirit Hammer landed on the Iron Man's body, causing a large amount of sparks to fly out. The sound was like the roar of a giant, earth-shattering and incomparably ferocious. The Iron Man's body was severely deformed, and his body sank into the ground. We finally killed this idiot. Qin Yun took a few deep breaths before pressing his hand on the Iron Man's body. He poured in his powerful mental power and probed the Iron Man's interior. There's a wisp of spirit. It should be this wisp of mind that is controlling the Iron Man. Qin Yun sneered and used his essence soul to erase the wisp of mind. The spasming Iron Man suddenly stopped. He picked up the Iron Man's arms and head, stored them in his storage space, and continued on his way back to the 3 Mysterious Academy. Qin Yun had fought with Iron Men countless times and knew them like the back of his hand. Therefore, when he used the forging hammer to fight the Iron Man, he would be able to smoothly execute the 6-style forging dragon and strike the Iron Man's vitals. The Iron Man must be very expensive. Those idiots actually gave it to me for nothing. Qin Yun used the flaming cloud steps and ran in the air. After running for an unknown period of time, Qin Yun finally saw the valley surrounded by huge mountains. These past few days, Deanbai had been patiently waiting for the people who had gone out to return in the plaza in the middle of the valley. Suddenly, he saw a figure appear in the air. Upon closer inspection, it was Qin Yun. When Qin Yun saw Deanbai in the air, he quickly dove down. When he was in midair, he shouted, Deanbai, quickly go and save Boss Xia. He's in danger. What's going on? Dean Bai could tell that Qin Yun was extremely anxious. Qin Yun quickly explained the situation to Dean Bai in a simple manner. After Dean Bai heard this, his face was filled with anger. He immediately soared into the air and flew in the direction that Qin Yun had mentioned. Dean Bai was very fast, and Qin Yun could not keep up. He could only stay in the Three Mysterious Academy for the time being and wait for Hua Zhong and Murong Darren to return. Both of them were being chased by Iron Man. Fortunately, they had sufficient understanding of Iron Man, so Qin Yun was not too worried. These fellows from Blue Spirit Star Palace are truly lawless. What do they take us for? When Qin Yun returned to the stone hut, his heart was still filled with anger, especially when he thought of the middle-aged teacher's expression. He had no enmity with him and wanted to cut off their arms just to transplant them onto the bodies of those Blue Spirit disciples. I have to refine a powerful talisman. Qin Yun suddenly recalled that he could refine mid-grade spirit talismans or even high-grade spirit talismans. Rank 6B skin could be used to refine mid-grade spirit talismans. However, he felt that a mid-grade spirit talisman was not strong enough because it was unable to deal with a martial artist at the 7th level martial body realm. Bone talisman, armor talisman. Talisman made from beast bones and beast armor. The black flood dragon we killed earlier had many scales and bones on its body. It's enough for me to refine. He took out a piece of black flood dragon scale. This piece of armor was the size of a wash basin. It was also very thick and contained a very strong energy within. It's too big. I have to make it smaller. Qin Yun took out a furnace and burned the scales until they were soft. Then, he folded and forged them a few times until they were the size of a normal talisman paper. Then, he began to inscribe spirit marks. If I inscribe the dual spirit talisman, it will be a mid-grade spirit mark. After Qin Yun took out the carving knife, he thought about it in his mind and began inscribing. He had forged a few storage spirit artifacts before. At that time, the difficulty of inscribing runes was even greater, but it was not difficult for him. Now, it was easy to inscribe 2 types of spirit marks on the scales. In just 2 hours, he had completed a mid-grade spirit talisman. Because the talisman was made from scales, it could be infused with inner force. If I inject my inner force into it, it will definitely be stronger. Qin Yun grabbed the beast armor talisman and poured his Vajra inner force into it. It took him a full hour. Can this talisman in my hand compare to a high-grade paper talisman? Even a high-grade spirit talisman can't seriously injure a 7th level martial body. He remembered that the Steel Tiger had been severely injured by Cui Hui's top-grade lightning talisman. However, he felt that a human's defense was not as strong as the Steel Tiger's. If they were to face his mid-grade spirit armor talisman, even if they were not seriously injured, they would still be greatly affected. Hua Zhong and Murong Darren had not returned yet, so he continued to refine mid-grade beast armor talismans. After a day, he had refined a total of 10 mid-grade spirit armor talismans. Brother Yun, Brother Yun. The moment Murong Darren returned, he shouted. When Qin Yun heard his voice, he hurriedly came out and saw Murong Darren and Hua Zhong returning together. Brother Yun, it's good that you're fine. Have you informed Dean Bai? Murong Darren felt relieved. Qin Yun sat on a chair and frowned. He was very worried as he said, the moment I came back, I told him about it. After he heard this, he flew out in anger. I wonder how Boss Xie is doing now. Chapter 121. Severed Arm. Is Boss Xie really going to be fine? Qin Yun was still very worried. The enemies Xie Wufeng faced were all extremely powerful. Not only were there Star Palace teachers at the 7th level martial body realm, there were also several Iron Men. Mu Rongjun frowned and said, it looks like we have to prepare for the worst. If something really happens to Boss Xie, we must make those bastards pay with their blood. Qin Yun's expression turned even heavier as he sat on a chair without saying a word. Hua Zhong and Mu Rongjun were the same. Just like that, they sat in the hall without saying a word, waiting for Dean Bai to return. Late at night, it was drizzling. The valley was dark and cold. Qin Yun and company sat from day to night, without saying a word. Suddenly, they heard a sound coming from outside the stone house and immediately flew out. They saw Dean by supporting Xiao Wufeng as he slowly walked over. When they saw Xiao Wufeng, Qin Yun and company heaved a sigh of relief. At least Xiao Wufeng was still alive. Xiao Wufeng was wearing Dean Bai's white robe. His face was pale, and if one could take a closer look through the white robe, one could see that he was missing an arm on his right shoulder. Boss Xia. When Huizhong saw that Xiao Wufeng had lost an arm, he immediately roared in anger. Qin Yun and Mu Rongjun had already walked over and hurriedly supported Xiao Wufeng. Dean Bai, where are the people from Blue Spirit Star Palace? Qin Yun asked with a deep voice. He was so angry that his body was trembling. The light pattern equipment on your body is gone too. Was it done by those bastards? Mu Rongjun's face was terrifyingly gloomy as he suppressed his endless anger. I'm going to flatten Blue Spirit Star Palace. Huizhong was so angry that he took out his rod and was about to charge out. Calm down. Xiao Wufeng's weak voice was as cold as ice. Qin Yun and company quietened down. They endured their anger and entered the house together. After entering, Dean Bai said, Xiao Wufeng's right arm was taken away by the people from Blue Spirit Star Palace. I was able to get there in time to save my left arm. Where did the people from Blue Spirit Star Palace go? I'll go kill them right now. When Huizhong heard this, he was infuriated again. Dean Bai was helpless in this matter, because the power of Blue Spirit Star Palace was very great, and it was not something he could fight against. He sighed and said, They are in the valley. Xiao Wufeng said coldly, We're not their match right now. It's never too late for a gentleman to take revenge. When we become stronger in the future, we'll settle the score with them. Dean Bai sighed. Those fellows are disciples of Blue Spirit Star Palace and not students of the Three Mysterious Academy. I can't control them. Right now, Blue Spirit Star Palace is like the sun in the sky. We can't do anything to them. That was why Blue Spirit Star Palace was so arrogant, burning and looting in broad daylight. Mu Rongjun's face was filled with anger. Are we just going to let this go? Dean Bai shook his head and said, If I insist on this matter, they will replace me. No matter what, I have to persevere until all of you enter the Star Xianwu Academy, in case the new principal they send comes to harm you. Qin Yun and company could sense that Dean Bai was on their side, but his strength was limited. Xiao Wufeng sighed. Dean, go back and rest. Qin Yun remained silent. Blue Spirit Star Palace was too powerful. With their current strength, they could not fight against them at all. After Dean Bai left, Xiao Wufeng said, I hate Blue Spirit Star Palace even more than you do, but we are still too weak. We are not their match at all. When we become stronger, we will definitely get our revenge. Qin Yun nodded and said, Boss Xia, go and rest. I'll give you my light inscription equipment so that you can quickly recover from your injuries. When we get to the Star Xianwu Academy, I'll think of a way to get you an arm. Xiao Wufeng changed into Qin Yun's light inscription equipment and warned Qin Yun and company not to act recklessly before entering the room to recuperate. Mu Rongjun gritted his teeth and said, Are we going to let those bastards off just like that? Qin Yun frowned and did not say a word. He leaned against the wall and stood there. Huizhong was so angry that he stomped his feet, creating a crater on the ground. He said angrily, These bastards, I must beat them in a meat paste. Xiao Wufeng only had a two-sun spiritual pulse and no martial spirit. However, through his unremitting efforts, he had achieved what he had today. But now, one of his arms had been cut off. It was a huge blow to him. Qin Yun and company sat in the hall with heavy hearts. They did not say a word until dawn. The sky was bright and the rain had stopped. Suddenly, a loud noise came from outside the house. Qin Yun, get the hell out here. An extremely arrogant voice shouted. It's the people from the Star Palace. Xiao Wufeng hurriedly came out of his room. After a night of healing, his complexion was much better. These bastards actually dare to come. I'm going to exterminate them. Huizhong suddenly stood up and said angrily, They're here for me. Qin Yun hurriedly said as he ran out first. Mu Rongjun sneered and said, These disciples of the Star Palace are resting and recuperating in our Three Mysterious Academy, yet they are still so arrogant. Qin Yun walked over to open the door and saw that there were more than 10 disciples of the Star Palace. Behind them was a teacher from the Star Palace. He was the middle-aged man who had captured Xia Wufeng. He was at the 7th level martial body realm. Bai did not approach. He only watched from afar with a grave expression. The other teachers and students of the three mysterious academy also returned one after another. They were all gloating from afar. What's the matter? Qin Yun's eyes were filled with killing intent as his voice was cold. The Iron Man I released to kill you suddenly couldn't be contacted. Did you kill him? A young man from the Star Palace asked angrily. This young man's name was Gudong. He was at the 6th level of the martial body realm. The blue robe he wore was very dark, which meant that his status was very high. It was your fault to send the Iron Man to kill me. Now that I can't contact him, what does it have to do with me? Qin Yun was infuriated as he shouted coldly. My Iron Man chased after you, but are you dead? You didn't die, but my Iron Man is gone. You have to take responsibility. If you can't take responsibility, you have to die. Gudong's face was filled with insolence and malevolence. His eyes were incomparably fierce. The elite disciples of the Star Palace were truly arrogant to the extreme. They were simply lawless. Qin Yun clenched his fists tightly, producing cracking sounds. He was trying his best to restrain his anger. If Huozhong, who was behind him, wasn't being pulled, he would have already rushed over. The teacher from the Star Palace said coldly, Qin Yun, do you know the value of an Iron Man? Now that the Iron Man has been lost because he was chasing you, you have to compensate him. It's reasonable to hunt me down? You want me to compensate you? Qin Yun was infuriated. The veins on his forehead bulged and his face flushed red. His voice was low. Chapter 122. Arrogance. The students who were watching from afar could feel the anger in Qin Yun's heart when they saw him suppressing his anger and not flaring up. At the same time, they could deeply feel how arrogant the disciples of the Star Palace were. However, not only did some of them not feel disgusted, they even wanted to become disciples of the Star Palace because it allowed them to become so arrogant. Qin Yun clenched his fists and took a deep breath. He was trying his best to suppress his anger. If he were to provoke the Star Palace, it would be extremely irrational, so he could only endure it. When Gudong saw that Qin Yun was suppressing his anger, he laughed maniacally and said, Qin Yun, I'll give you 3 choices. First, die. Second, cut off your own arms. Third, hand over your light inscriptions. Qin Yun was immediately enlightened. The group of people in front of him were here for his light inscriptions. The light inscription equipment that he had given Xia Wufeng had fallen into the hands of this group of people. They would definitely be able to tell that it was a high-grade light inscription. Even the Blue Spirit Star Palace wanted to obtain this kind of high-grade light inscription. Xia Wufeng, who had been silent all this time, also suppressed his anger and said in a deep voice, What if I don't agree? Gudong sneered. If you don't agree, we'll kill all of you. Qin Yun, aren't you very powerful? Back then at the entrance of the Star Palace, you ruthlessly defeated the outer sect disciples of my West Palace. Quickly bring out the spirit you had back then. You don't dare, because you know that our Blue Spirit Star Palace is very terrifying. You can only endure it. You coward, do you know fear now? You should know that our Blue Spirit Star Palace is not to be trifled with. Qin Yun took a few deep breaths. The anger on his face suddenly disappeared, and he became extremely calm. He said indifferently, I'll give you a chance. Return Bossie's arm and that set of light inscription equipment. Gudong suddenly laughed out loud and said, He's trash without a martial spirit. Wouldn't it be a waste to have an arm? With that, he rolled up his sleeves and continued to laugh maniacally. The arm has been transplanted to me. If you have the guts, come and take it back. Also, light inscription equipment, right? It's also on me. If you have the ability, come and take it. Come quickly. Everyone could tell that Gudong had a very high position in the Blue Spirit Star Palace. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to have all the good stuff on him. Gudong did indeed have the ability to be arrogant, because he suddenly released 4 Iron Men to block in front of him. 4 Iron Men, a teacher at the 7th level martial body realm. Qin Yun, and company were no match for the other party. Qin Yun, be quick. Hand over the light patterns, and I'll let you off. Otherwise, I will let all of you taste the pain of having your arms cut off while you're still alive. That cripple you call boss, he knows how painful it is. Gadong smiled coldly. A Star Palace disciple said with a smile, Qin Yun, hand over the light runes and kowtow to us a few more times. We'll let you go. Kowtowing is so boring. I want him to crawl onto my crotch. This is the #1 person in the Hidden Dragon martial arts competition. It's so interesting to crawl onto my crotch. So what if he's first? Won't they still have to lower their heads to us? Huh, that's right. Cripple Xie quickly removed the blood contract with his storage belt. Gadong took out a belt full of bloodstains and grinned maliciously. We used this belt to chop off your good-for-nothing boss's arm. The process was very interesting. Who told him not to dissolve the blood contract? You're asking for trouble. When Qin Yun, Murong Darren, and Huizhong heard the last sentence, they were stunned. Their hearts were greatly impacted as they could not help but look at Xiao Wufeng, who had an ugly expression on his face. In order to let the three of them escape, Xiao Wufeng had gone to block the people from the Star Palace and lost his arm. However, his arm was not chopped off by a single slash, but by the storage belt instead. How painful was this process? All this time, Qin Yun had never known what a true evil demon was. Now, he had seen it with his own eyes. The people in front of him were demons in human skin. Xiao Wufeng closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Boss, yeah, I'm sorry. We shouldn't have left. Qin Yun could not help but cry as he felt extremely guilty. The tall and burly Huizhong could not help but shed 2 streams of tears. Boss, yeah. There's no need to say any more. Boss Xie gave a carefree smile. We're all brothers. Gadong sneered. Since you're all brothers, let's go and have a taste of having our arms broken. A few of the Iron Men suddenly moved. Qin Yun hurriedly used his primordial spirit to condense a few balls of white light and seeped into the Iron Man. He erased the wisp of mind inside, and the Iron Man stopped. Then he took out the giant King Spirit Hammer and threw it at Gadong. The giant King Spirit Hammer was infused with a large amount of berserk inner force. It quickly flew out and smashed into Gadong's face. Was stunned. Qin Yun had actually made a move. He had beaten Gadong, a disciple of high status, to the point that his face was covered in blood. Quickly kill him. The Star Palace disciples angrily shouted. You bunch of beasts, accept your punishment. Qin Yun's face was filled with anger as he let out a deep roar. Then, he threw out a dozen or so black things. That was a spirit armor talisman. Just as the dozen or so Star Palace disciples and the teacher were about to rush forward, Zhang Xian stopped them. The spirit armor talisman exploded with a loud bang. Thunder and fire were like a tide, wreaking havoc violently. It was like a surging wave that swept over fiercely. Boom, 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 boom. Xiao Wufeng's reaction was the fastest. He hurriedly released a wall of air formed from his Vajra inner force to block in front of him. Murong Darren and Huizhong also quickly circulated their Vajra inner force to resist. They were near the core of the explosion of the spirit armor talisman. If they did not resist, they would also be affected. This scene stunned all the teachers and students who were watching from afar. The area around Qin Yun and company was covered in violent fire and lightning. Flames and lightning constantly churned and howled. The sound was terrifying. Dienbai, aren't you going to make a move? You are in the martial Dao realm. A teacher hurriedly asked. Just now, the people from Blue Spirit Star Palace warned me not to interfere in this matter. I'm just doing what I'm told. All of you heard it just now. Dienbai sneered. The talisman that Qin Yun refined. This power is at least a high-grade spirit talisman, and it's more than a dozen of them. Rumor has it that Qin Yun's spirit inscriptions are all high-grade spirit inscriptions. A high-grade spirit inscription made from high-grade spirit inscriptions is truly terrifying. A spirit inscription of this level should cost at least 100,000 crystal coins, right? A person at the 6th level of the martial body realm would either die or be injured in the face of this kind of spirit talisman. Everyone looked at the area that was wreaking havoc with fire and thunder, their faces filled with fear. A moment later, the fire and thunder gradually weakened and the stone house was flattened. Qin Yun and company did not suffer any major injuries as they used their Vajra inner force to block in time. As for the disciples of Blue Spirit Star Palace, only 3 of them were able to stand. Their bodies were charred black and cracked, making it impossible to recognize who they were. Gudong was also severely injured by the lightning and fire. His entire body was charred black. The light inscription equipment he had snatched was only beast skin. It was not resistant to fire and was instantly burned away. Qinyan, are you crazy? Do you know what you've done? The Star Palace teacher said angrily. He was at the 7th level of martial body realm. Although he was injured, it was not as serious as the others. Qinyan glared angrily at the middle-aged man. Using the flaming cloud steps, he flew over and picked up the giant king spirit hammer. He struck out with the 6th-style forging dragon at the Star Palace teacher. You want to kill me? The Star Palace teacher was furious and also secretly afraid. He shouted, Dembai, quickly save me. No one can save you. Qin Yun executed the 6th-style forging dragon consecutively, shaking the wind and shaking the earth. Chapter 123. Resistance. The teachers and students who were watching from afar were all dumbfounded. The disciples of Blue Spirit Star Palace were not ordinary disciples. They all had relatively high status, otherwise they would not have been able to control Iron Man. But now, they had suffered heavy casualties. Xia Wufeng, Huizhong, and Murong Darren were also shocked, but they felt extremely relieved in their hearts. Weren't you very arrogant just now? Qinyan stepped on Gudong's head. Gudong was struck by lightning and fire until he was like a piece of charcoal, struggling at death's door. Don't worry, I'm a very merciful person. I won't kill you, I'll let you live. As he spoke, he punched Gudong in the abdomen. The force wasn't too great, but it was enough to destroy his elemental energy. Gudong twitched in pain on the ground. Not only was his body in pain, his heart was in even more pain. With his elemental energy destroyed, his martial arts career was also ruined. Blue Spirit Star Palace is a holy land of martial arts. They shouldn't despise someone like you who has your elemental energy destroyed. They will take good care of you. Qinyan laughed loudly. With that, he went over and destroyed the elemental energy of the Blue Spirit Star Palace disciples one by one. Look, I'm such a soft-hearted person. I can't even bear to kill you. Qin Yun's sinister laughter caused everyone to tremble. In the eyes of the other students, how could this be called being soft-hearted? It was simply a fate worse than death. Even the most ruthless was this. These Star Palace disciples all had good aptitude in martial arts, but now that they had been crippled, they had become trash. In the future, not only would they be teased, they would also be abandoned. They would spend the rest of their lives in pain and despair. It was better to give them a quick death. Everyone felt that Qin Yun had gone mad to provoke Blue Spirit Star Palace in such a manner. This was because Blue Spirit Star Palace would definitely take revenge on him. At this moment, they looked at Qin Yun as though they were looking at a dead man. Because Qin Yun had completely offended Blue Spirit Star Palace, he was undoubtedly dead. Dembai flew over from afar and said, Qin Yun, you can leave. Qin Yun asked, Dembai, what about you? Dembai had not interfered in the matter just now. Otherwise, Qin Yun would not have been able to succeed. He might even have been suppressed by Gudong and company. He had secretly helped Qin Yun and company. Dembai didn't say anything. He definitely had his own difficulties. He had a wife and children, and he had his own concerns. Therefore, Qin Yun did not want to implicate him. Here, there were several teachers from Blue Spirit Star Palace. 2 of them had suddenly returned. After they found out about this, they hurriedly sent someone back to Blue Spirit Star Palace to report. Seeing that Dembai was here, the teacher didn't dare to say anything and hurriedly treated Gudong's injuries. This teacher's name was Mo Hung. He was a middle-aged man at the 7th level martial body realm. This level was considered very poor in Blue Spirit Star Palace. It meant that he did not have any status, so he could only come here to be a teacher. Gadong, what's wrong? After Mo Hung healed Gadong, he asked anxiously. Quickly kill Qin Yun. I want to tear him to pieces. Gadong recovered some of his strength under the healing of the dense inner force. His eyes were filled with endless hatred. Qin Yun could not help but smile. How can you kill me? I spared your dog life, so you should kneel down and thank me. You. Gadong was so angry that he gasped for breath. He couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood and fainted from anger. Mo Hung glared at Qin Yun and said, Gadong is the grandson of an elder of the Blue Spirit West Palace. You're dead for sure. If you run away today, none of the people here will be able to escape responsibility. After he said that, the group of teachers and students were alarmed and hurriedly surrounded him. Qin Yun, we won't make a move on you. Just wait here for the people from Blue Spirit Star Palace to come. The teacher of the Tianxian Martial School shouted loudly. You know that you can't run away, so be more honest. You clearly know how terrifying the Blue Spirit Star Palace is, yet you still want to fight against them. You brought this upon yourself. Isn't it just light patterns? Just give it out, and it won't end up in such a situation. The teachers in the martial arts academy said one after another. Qin Yun noticed that Denbai had also sent someone to leave the valley. It was likely to report this matter. It was unknown who he had reported it to. Brother Yun, let's kill our way out, Huozhong said as he took out a long rod. Even if I die, I have to fight them to the death. Mu Rongjun glared at the group of teachers and students. Qin Yun, on the other hand, was very calm. He cleaned up the storage belt and handed it to Xiao Wufeng. Xiao Wufeng didn't say anything, but his heart was extremely heavy. He wasn't worried about himself, but worried that Qin Yun would be destroyed because of this. You have nothing to do with this matter. I will bear all of it. Qin Yun said, Don't worry, I can survive this. Dream on. You're dead for sure. Mo Hung sneered before injecting his inner force into the injured disciple to heal him. Just like that, after a long stalemate, a few powerful auras suddenly pressed down on them. Mo Hung was immediately overjoyed. Then, he looked at Qin Yun and said with a sinister smile, Your time of death has come. The experts from Blue Spirit Star Palace have come, as well as the seniors from the 3 great black-level martial academies. They must be very concerned about this matter. Xiao Wufeng's expression was solemn as he said in a low voice, Brother Yun, let's charge out together. I can still fly. Qin Yun shook his head and said, It's useless. I'll face it. 7 or 8 elders and a few middle-aged men descended from the sky. 2 of them were old men dressed in blue robes. They were from Blue Spirit Star Palace. The other ones were the 3 vice principals of the Black-level Martial Arts Academy. Adong. When the white-haired old man in a blue robe saw Gadong, he suddenly swooped down and shouted. The old man was Gadong's grandfather. His name was Guiyuan Fei, and he was an elder of the Blue Spirit West Palace. Grandfather, my elemental energy is gone. Gadong opened his eyes and immediately burst into tears. Then, he looked at Qin Yun with hatred and said angrily, It's all his doing. Quickly take him down. I want to cut off his flesh piece by piece. I want to use all the torture in the West Palace on him. Guiyuan Fei glared at Qin Yun angrily as he released his aura. Just as he was about to attack, a skinny old man in a red robe suddenly stood in front of Qin Yun. Following that, a tall and skinny old man in white came to Qin Yun's side. Who are you? Why are you blocking me? Guiyuan Fei said angrily. The short red-robed elder chuckled and said, I am Zhuo Chuan, the great elder of the Divine Inscription Palace. The 3 Mysterious Academy has a share of the Divine Inscription Palace. I can't let you kill students here. The white-clothed old man also said with a cold expression, I am Ho Xingfeng, the vice principal of the Star Xianwu Academy. There was actually someone standing up for Qin Yun. The surrounding teachers and students, as well as Xiao Wufeng and company, could not help but be surprised. However, thinking about it, it was understandable. Zhuochuan was the great elder of the Divine Inscription Palace, and Qin Yun was a genius in the field of inscriptions. It was normal for him to be protected. Although no one knew Zhuochuan's exact identity, it could be seen that he was very confident. It was obvious that he was very strong. When Yuanfei heard the name of the Divine Inscription Palace, the anger on his face immediately weakened by a lot. At this moment, Lu Ning of the Tianxian Martial School walked over and said, "It must be Qin Yun who is looking for trouble. This fellow is always causing trouble everywhere. Everyone is used to it." Qin Yun said with a sneer, "Lu Ning, quickly shut your dog mouth. Your master doesn't need a dog like you who only barks and doesn't bite." Chapter 124. Spatial Spirit Inscriptions. Lu Ning was immediately infuriated. Just as he was about to speak, Zhuochuan asked Ding Bai, "Old Bai, tell me what happened." Ding Bai was also in the martial Dao realm, but he was respectful in front of Zhuochuan and Ho Xingfeng. From this, it could be seen how powerful these two elders were. There were also a few other elders here. They were probably the vice principals of the Xian Level Martial Arts Academy. Their strength was unfathomable. Ding Bai explained the entire matter in detail. From the moment the Star Palace disciples sent out a message for help. When Ge Yuanfei heard his grandson's evil deeds, his expression turned extremely ugly. He could only grit his teeth. After he finished speaking, Zhuochuan sneered, "This little bastard really deserves it. Qin Yu did not kill them. It is indeed merciful." Gudong cried out angrily, "Grandfather, you must uphold justice for me. This is all his fault. He was the one who destroyed our Iron Man first. So I went to him for an explanation. And now, my inner Yuan and martial spirit have been destroyed. I'm crippled, completely crippled." Zhuochuan shouted angrily, "Shut up." Gudong spat out a mouthful of blood. Although Ge Yuanfei was also in the martial Dao realm, his expression changed drastically from shock. When the surrounding people saw this scene, they were all incomparably shocked. The great elder of the Divine Inscription Palace looked like a skinny old man, but his strength was so terrifying that he wasn't even afraid of the elders of the Western Palace. It's very clear who's right and who's wrong in this matter. Let's end it here. Zhuochuan said in a clear voice. Ge Yuanfei took a few deep breaths and suppressed the anger in his heart. He picked up Gudong. This was indeed his grandson's fault. Of course, if Zhuochuan wasn't here, he would definitely attack Qin Yun. We can't let this matter rest just like that. Suddenly, a fat, yellow-haired old man walked over and said indifferently. He was the vice principal of the Tianxian Martial School, Guocheng. "Guocheng, have you gone senile?" Zhuochuan sneered. "Haven't you figured out who's right and who's wrong?" Guocheng smiled faintly and said, "Students cannot fight with others in the Three Mysterious Academy, unless it's a martial arts competition or something. Clearly, Qin Yun has violated this rule and will be expelled from the Three Mysterious Academy. He had no choice but to do it. It's understandable." Zhuochuan sneered. What? Could it be that he couldn't even make a move when he was about to be killed? After all, when the rules were first set, those bastards from Blue Spirit Star Palace had yet to interfere. If it was in the past, other than the students of the Three Mysterious Academy, no one would be able to enter. Divine Inscription Palace, don't be arrogant. Ge Yuanfei finally could not suppress his anger and roared. "No matter how arrogant I am still a human. As for your grandson, when he is arrogant, he is just a crazy beast." Zhuochuan laughed out loud. "What? Do you have the guts to flatten my Divine Inscription Palace? Give it a try." When everyone saw this scene, they could not help but take a few steps back. They were extremely worried that these two old fellows of the martial Dao realm would suddenly fight. At that time, they would definitely be affected. Qin Yun learned from Duan Gan that the Divine Inscription Palace was spread all over the martial desolate land where martial arts flourished. Therefore, its influence was very wide, and it was far from what the Blue Spirit Star Palace could compare to. Ge Yuanfei didn't dare to say anything. He could only walk to the side with Gudong in his arms. He was an elder, but now that he was in the wrong and his strength was inferior to Zhuochuan's, he could only admit defeat. Guo Cheng said, although Qin Yun's private fight is excusable, the rules of our three mysterious academy are extremely harsh. We must strictly enforce them in order to ensure the authority of the three mysterious academy. To let some bastards in so casually, what dog's head authority does the three mysterious academy have now? Zhuochuan sneered. The reason why Guo Cheng of the Tianxian Martial School did this was clearly to show his goodwill to the Blue Spirit Star Palace. He smiled and looked to Ho Xingfeng, who did not say anything. Old Ho, what do you think? It seems that you can't tolerate breaking the rules the most. Furthermore, Qin Yun is going to the Star Xianwu Academy. Are you really going to accept such a person in the future? It is indeed excusable for Qin Yun to have a private fight here. However, this is the responsibility of the three mysterious academy, because we should have stopped this matter. Ho Xingfeng said, Old Bai, as the principal here, you could have stopped this matter back then, but you didn't. Therefore, your responsibility is the greatest. From today onwards, you are no longer the principal of the three mysterious academy. I am willing to be punished, Dean Bai said with a relaxed expression. Guo Cheng snorted and said, Qin Yun's private fight has a bad influence, and he has no other specialties. He should be expelled from the three mysterious academy. Zhuochuan said with a smile, Qin Yun's talent in the inscription palace is not bad. It's just right for him to come to my divine inscription palace. Great elder, can the divine inscription palace make me a powerful martial artist? Qin Yun asked. There are specializations in the industry. Of course, our divine inscription palace is more powerful in the field of inscriptions. We have to rely on ourselves to cultivate. Zhuochuan sighed. Indeed, for you at this stage, entering the Xian level martial arts academy is the best. It's just that, Guo Cheng said with a sneer, what specialties does Qin Yun have? His martial spirit is dead. Which martial arts academy would want him? In any case, my Tianxian Martial Arts Academy will not want a guy like him. My Ling Xianwu Academy doesn't want it either. The vice principal of the Ling Xianwu Academy walked over and said loudly, Young people who are determined to enter the Ling Xianwu Academy, you can rest assured that my Ling Xianwu Academy will never accept someone like Qin Yun. My Tianxian Martial Arts Academy will never accept Qin Yun. Guo Cheng also said loudly, If Qin Yun can pass the examination, my Star Xianwu Academy will accept him. Ho Xingfeng said indifferently. Of course, the only ones who wanted to enter the Star Xianwu Academy were Xia Wufeng and the others. Ho Xingfeng looked at Qin Yun and said, If you have any other specialties, you can continue to stay here until the final exam. I can refine storage spirit artifacts. Qin Yun said, There's only a slight problem with my martial spirit. It's not crippled. It can even allow me to release flames. Can you refine storage spirit artifacts? This caused the expressions of the three vice principals of the Black Level Martial Arts Academy to change slightly. Zhuochuan's face was also filled with disbelief as he asked in surprise, You have a spatial spirit mark? Yes. Qin Yun knew very well that only by displaying his abilities would he be able to continue staying in the three profound martial arts academy. There were very few spatial spirit marks. Many inscription masters would find someone to carve spatial spirit marks after refining their own spirit artifacts. They would also need to pay a large sum of crystal coins. As for Qin Yun himself, he only had one. Mu Rongjun immediately took out his storage belt and said, Senior, this is the storage belt that Brother Yun refined for me. Xia Wufeng and Hua Zhong also hurriedly took off their storage belts and handed them over for them to see. Zhuochuan and Ho Xingfeng took it and looked at it carefully. Their faces were filled with shock. Guo Cheng and the others could only watch from afar. They gritted their teeth in hatred. They had previously said resolutely that Qin Yun would not be allowed to enter their martial arts academy. But now, Qin Yun was actually able to forge artifacts and inscribe spatial spirit marks. Maybe he picked up a storage spirit artifact and took it out to fool you. Guo Cheng sneered. The spirit marks on it are so complicated. How could he carve it? Furthermore, it's carved on such a small belt. Chapter 125. Inscription talent. Qin Yun's serious appearance caused everyone to be secretly alarmed. Originally, those teachers and students did not believe that Qin Yun would be able to forge a storage spirit artifact, but now they believed him a little. If you can refine it, I'll buy it for 2,000 purple coins. Ho Xingfeng's ice-cold face was filled with bewilderment. Can you really refine it? With that, they returned the 3 storage belts to Xia Wufeng and the other 2. Qin Yun smiled confidently and said, "You'll know when I refine it. Otherwise, you won't believe me no matter what I say." All right. Zhuochuan also wanted to take a look and quickly nodded. Guo Cheng and the others had gloomy expressions on their faces. If Qin Yun could really forge a storage spirit artifact, then he would definitely be a rare genius in inscriptions. This kind of talent was much higher than Qin Jingfeng's. Although there were few people with good martial spirits and spirit veins, there were still some. For example, Xiao Yuelan, Xiao Yuemei, and Qin Jingfeng. The various Xian-level martial academies were always able to find such good seedlings. However, geniuses with inscription talent could only be found by chance. Before coming into contact with inscriptions, no one knew anything about them. There was no good way to discover who had a good comprehension of inscriptions. Therefore, a rare genius in inscriptions was even harder to discover. A self-taught genius like Qin Yun was definitely a genius amongst geniuses in inscriptions. Many powers knew of his talent in inscriptions. However, after he failed to fuse with the meteorite fire, everyone thought that his fire martial spirit was crippled, so they did not pay any more attention to him. And now, he could actually forge a storage spirit artifact. Qin Yun skillfully forged low-grade spirit iron and added beast tendons and beast skins to make the spirit iron flexible. This way, the belt could be very soft and also very tough. If I were to refine it, I would directly use beast tendons and beast skins to fuse with the void spirit stone. If you add low-grade spirit iron to refine it, it would be superfluous. It would also increase the difficulty, and the inscription would be even more difficult. Zhuochuan said as he watched from the side. As Qin Yun forged, he said, "The beast tendons and beast skins are only supplementary. I will mainly use low-grade spirit iron to absorb the void spirit stone. Void spirit stones are ores, and spirit iron also comes from ores. Both have the same properties, so it's easier for spirit iron to absorb void spirit stones. Senior, can you guess how big the storage space will be if I use a space spirit stone the size of a grain of rice to forge a storage spiritual tool?" When Zhuochuan heard this, he also felt that it made sense. When they were refining weapons, they would make it as simple as possible. They would ensure that they could refine spirit weapons quickly and steadily. That's a high-grade spatial spirit mark of yours. It can make the space bigger. Zhuochuan did not dare to guess, worried that he might not be able to tell. When everyone heard Zhuochuan's words, they burst into an uproar. That was because the spatial spirit inscription that Qin Yun had mastered was actually of high quality. Previously, when Gudong wanted to snatch Qin Yun's light rune, it seemed to be a high-grade light rune as well. How many high-grade spirit inscriptions did Qin Yun grasp? Everyone was secretly shocked. Guo Cheng gritted his teeth and regretted not roping in Qin Yun. If he could obtain so many high-grade spirit inscriptions, it would definitely be a huge profit. At this moment, the elders of the Tianxian Martial School, Star Xianwu Academy, and Blue Spirit Star Palace all had extremely ugly expressions on their faces. This was because they had offended a future Grandmaster of Inscriptions, especially Tianxian Martial School's Lu Ning. He looked at the giant King Spirit Hammer in Qin Yun's hand and brooded over it. That was what he had lost previously. It was also because of this matter that he was unable to raise his head in the Tianxian Martial School, and was even punished. After thinking for a moment, Zhuochuan said, "A space spirit stone the size of a grain of rice, combined with a high-grade spatial spirit mark, can at most refine a storage spirit artifact with 20 elephants of space." 20 elephants of space meant that it could hold 20 adult elephants. The storage belt that Qin Yun had forged previously could hold 50 to 60 elephants. In more than 2 hours, he had created a very beautiful black belt. It was extremely exquisite. Then, he took out his carving knife and began inscribing spirit marks. Zhuo Chuan, Ho Xingfeng, and the other seniors immediately perked up. Inscribing was a very important stage in artifact forging. When Qin Yun was inscribing, the carving knife emitted a screen of light that enveloped the carving knife and belt. However, he was still worried. He released another wave of mental energy to form a barrier to prevent those with strong mental energy from spying on him. When he was inscribing spatial spirit marks, he was very familiar with the road, and it was very smooth. It was almost done in one go. Although it took him more than 4 hours, he did not feel the passage of time. He was completely immersed in the state of inscription. Zhuo Chuan, who was at the side, was incomparably alarmed, especially when he saw the smoothness of Qin Yun's inscription. It's done. I've inscribed blood contract spirit marks and spatial spirit marks. I need to drip blood on it to recognize the owner before I can use this storage spirit artifact. If someone else obtains it, they won't be able to obtain the items inside. Qin Yun handed the belt to Zhuo Chuan. Old Ho, come and check. I don't lack storage spirit artifacts. I'll give it to you. Zhuo Chuan was now completely certain that Qin Yun could forge storage spirit artifacts. Furthermore, Qin Yun's martial spirit was not crippled. It was only that the flames had weakened. It was obvious that there was a huge problem with his martial spirit. Ho Xingfeng took the storage belt. After dripping blood, he used his mental energy to probe the space inside and exclaimed, "About 50 elephants of space." Those students were not surprised at all because they already knew that Xiao Wufeng and company storage belts could hold the corpses of dozens of ferocious beasts. On the other hand, Guo Cheng, Gu Yuanfei, Lu Ning, and the others had faces full of disbelief. Really? Zhuo Chuan asked in surprise. Why would I lie to you? Ho Xingfeng's ice-cold face revealed a gentle smile. The way he looked at Qin Yun also turned gentle. He said to Qin Yun, "You can enter our Star Xianwu Academy now. You don't need to pass the examination." Not only was it difficult to enter the Star Xianwu Academy, they had never invited students to enter. But now, they had made an exception for Qin Yun. Do I have to agree to any conditions? Qin Yun asked. Ho Xingfeng said, when we need a storage spirit artifact, if you don't have anything else important to do, you have to refine it for us. That's the condition. Of course, within a month, you will not be allowed to refine more than 3 storage spirit artifacts. Perhaps you only need to inscribe. We will provide the materials, and you'll be able to complete it in a day. This made the Star Xianwu Academy and the Ling Xianwu Academy extremely jealous. This was equivalent to producing 3 storage spirit artifacts every month. Storage spirit artifacts were usually not sold. They were used to reward students to motivate them. Qin Yun thought about it and felt that it was not bad. However, he did not immediately agree. He continued to ask, Dean Ho, can you invite my 3 friends? No, I have already made an exception for you. This is also because you are able to master spatial spirit inscriptions. Ho Xingfeng shook his head. Then I refuse, Qin Yun said. Chapter 126. The Secret of the Puppet. When Xiao Wufeng saw Qin Yun's refusal, he hurriedly said, Brother Yun, you don't have to worry about us. Enter the Star Xianwu Academy first. The earlier we enter, the faster we can increase our strength. Huizhong and Murong Darren nodded repeatedly as they persuaded Qin Yun to agree. No, I want to pass the examination with you and enter the Star Xianwu Academy together, Qin Yun said with a resolute expression. He knew very well that Xiao Wufeng was a rare genius in the Sword Dao, and he absolutely couldn't be buried because of this. Therefore, he had to stay and help Xiao Wufeng enter the Star Xianwu Academy. His loyalty also made Xiao Wufeng and the other 2 very touched. All right, I'll keep you in the 3 Mysterious Academy. Ho Xingfeng gazed at Xiao Wufeng and the others, and he said, if all of you can really pass the test, then I'll really welcome all of you. Zhuo Chuan's face darkened. He glanced at Gu Yuanfei and said, We have to make it clear that if anyone else wants to enter the Three Mysterious Academy, they must pass the approval of the three Xian-level martial academies and the Divine Inscription Palace. Otherwise, if they die here, we won't care. A few of the vice principals of the Black-level Martial Arts Academy also nodded their heads. Let me tell you first, if anyone wants to attack Qin Yun, do it cleanly. Don't leave any traces behind. Otherwise, if I find out, even if it's the Blue Spirit Star Palace, I will still flatten him. Zhuo Chuan's ruthless words shocked everyone. The inscription talent that Qin Yun displayed was enough to attract the attention of the Divine Inscription Palace. If someone really wanted to make a move on him, they would have to think twice. Zhuo Chuan continued, before we elect a new principal of the Three Mysterious Academy, Principal Bai will continue to hold the position. We will use 3 months to choose a new principal. He was the one who spoke. It could be seen that his Divine Inscription Palace had a lot of authority in the Three Mysterious Academy, even though the students here would all be from the three Xian-level martial academies in the future. The power of the Inscription Palace was actually able to balance the three Xian-level martial academies and the Blue Spirit Star Palace. This caused many people here to have a new understanding of the mysterious Inscription Palace. Gu Yuanfei's eyes were filled with hatred as he glanced at Qin Yun. Then, he left in a hurry with his crippled grandson. The other senior teachers of Blue Spirit Star Palace brought along their injured disciples and followed behind Gu Yuanfei. Ho Xingfeng took out 2,000 purple coins and bought Qin Yun's storage belt before leaving the Three Mysterious Academy with Zhuo Chuan. Dean Bai heaved a sigh of relief. He had made the right bet. He had long determined that Qin Yun would receive the attention of the Divine Inscription Palace because it was Duan Qian who had sent Qin Yun here. Now, as expected, Qin Yun was highly valued by the Divine Inscription Palace. Dean Bai looked at Qin Yun and company and said with a smile, "Your house has been destroyed. Build a new one yourself." Mu Rongjun asked, "Dean Bai, can we dig a hole in a mountain wall?" "Sure." Dean Bai nodded and went to do his own things. Now, Xiao Wufeng and the others also breathed a sigh of relief. Huo Zhong used his tools to dig the cave, his face full of regret as he sighed. "Brother Yun, you've missed a great opportunity. What if we can't pass the test this time?" "Exactly. Why are you thinking so much about us?" Mu Rongjun also sighed. "If you were me, you would definitely refuse, right?" Qin Yun said with a smile. "There's nothing to be regretful about. If you can't pass the exam this time, then next time." Xiao Wufeng did not say anything else. If it was him, he would also not be able to let go of Huo Zhong and company. He said, "During this period of time, we need to make the best use of our time to increase our strength. Only after we enter the Star Xianwu Academy will we be safer." Xiao Wufeng was very worried that Qin Yun would be avenged. Furthermore, he had grasped so many high-grade spirit inscriptions. It was enough to cause those great powers to attack at all costs. The few of them quickly dug out a cave, and then made a hall and many stone rooms inside. It was quiet enough inside, very suitable for meditation and cultivation. After Mu Rongjun finished bathing, he walked out wearing a blue brocade robe. He sat in the hall drinking tea and said to Qin Yun with a chuckle, "Brother Yun, you are truly unfathomable. You actually killed an Iron Man. Back then, I was chased to the point of death." After Xiao Wufeng rested, he recovered his vitality and his complexion was very good. He wore a simple white robe and sat in the hall drinking tea with everyone. Qin Yun said with a smile, "Not only was the Iron Man killed by me, he was also collected by me." He took out the fragments of the Iron Man from his storage space and threw them on the ground. When Huo Zhong saw these fragments, he was clearly very happy. He walked over and picked up the Iron Man's limbs to play with. He laughed loudly and said, "If I had known earlier, I would have killed an Iron Man as well. I want the Iron Man to be of great use. I want to try and see if I can imitate one." Qin Yun pointed at the iron head and said, "Old Hua, help me open this iron head. I want to see the structure inside. Also, help me open these limbs." Mu Rongjun was very excited as he said with a smile, "Brother Yun, if you can refine a puppet, you must sell it to me. If you hide it in a storage spirit artifact and take it out to trick people in a fight, it would definitely be great. Let's talk about it after I refine it. Qin Yun shook his head with a smile. He looked at Xia Wufeng and asked, Boss Xia, why don't I try to help you refine an arm? It will make it more convenient for you. No need, I'm fine like this. In the future, I'll find my own spirit medicine and let my arm grow out. Xia Wufeng shook his head with a smile and said, if others were to fight with me and see that I have no arms, they would definitely look down on me. This is not a bad thing for me. Xia Wufeng's optimism made Qin Yun secretly happy. He also felt relieved. Following that, Mu Rongjun also helped dismantle the Iron Man. He opened up all the parts with spirit inscriptions for Qin Yun to observe carefully. Qin Yun brought the disassembled Iron Man back to his room and studied it overnight. He used notes to record the inscriptions that could be seen. After half the night, he had copied down all the spirit inscriptions on all the Iron Men's bodies. Then, he arranged them on the table in order. This is the spirit inscription on the head. This is the neck. The body has the most spirit inscriptions. And then the arms. He arranged the various parts of the Iron Man with spirit inscriptions on the table. After he finished arranging them, he discovered that the complete spirit inscription was actually like an ape totem. Beast totem. Could this be the secret to refining puppets? This kind of ape can indeed walk upright like a human. Qin Yun looked at the ape totem and frowned in thought. He could only see the bright lines and not the dark lines, so there was no way to copy them. This pearl in the Iron Man's body should be used to store mental energy. The spirit inscriptions on it are mental energy inscriptions and also the core of the Iron Man. It can connect ape totem inscriptions and give orders to the totem spirit inscriptions to drive the Iron Man. Qin Yun picked up a transparent bead and looked at it carefully. Then he picked up another fist-sized white bead and observed it. He discovered that it was filled with origin-gathering inscriptions. This can gather and release energy. This is used to store energy. Other than that, there is also a special type of spirit inscription that can allow this bead to accumulate energy and then condense inner strength. What kind of spirit inscription is this? Qin Yun took out the 36 spirit inscriptions and looked at them carefully. Could it be the power inscription? This is a type of spirit inscription that can increase one's inner strength. If one's inner strength increases, they can turn into inner strength. He had all of them. Moreover, they were all high-grade spirit inscriptions. Now, he was only lacking the ape totem inscriptions. If I had the dark lines of the ape totem, I should be able to refine a puppet. Qin Yun sighed and put away the blueprint in disappointment. Suddenly, he thought of something and hurriedly took off his clothes. He looked at his left arm. Chapter 127. Totem runes. Qin Yun soaked in the Heavenly Lion Lake for 10 days. When he came out, he saw a mysterious and strange Heavenly Lion totem on his left arm. He had never known what it was. Now, he looked carefully and was surprised to discover that there were many mysterious runes hidden within the Heavenly Lion totem. They were somewhat similar to the bright lines of apes. Could it be? Is the Heavenly Lion totem also an inscription? Qin Yun took a deep breath. If that was the case, he would be able to refine a lion-shaped puppet. Qin Yun carefully observed the Heavenly Lion totem on his left arm. The more he looked, the more alarmed he became. If he hadn't discovered the ape totem from the Iron Man, he wouldn't have known that totems were also a type of inscription. I've seen records of this in the inscription books. I never thought that the Heavenly Lion totem would actually be an inscription. Qin Yun hurriedly took out a large piece of paper and carefully drew the totem on his arm on it. During the process of drawing, he was even more surprised. He was certain that the Heavenly Lion totem rune was an inscription, and it was a very profound one. It was definitely not an ordinary spirit rune. Great! I'll start refining the Heavenly Lion puppet immediately. After Qin Yun made a major discovery, he was wild with joy. He excitedly took out the furnace and threw the bones of a few lions and tigers into the furnace. His strength was limited, so he could only use ordinary materials to refine it. Otherwise, he would melt the Iron Man's fragments or use the evil Flood Dragon's bones. Those were all materials used in high-grade spirit artifacts. Adding a bit of the evil flood dragon bone should be no problem. He thought for a moment and then put in a small portion of the evil flood dragon bone. A month passed quickly. Qin Yun took the Iron Man's fragment and entered the room. He did not come out and spent the entire day hammering things. Outside, Morong Darren was extremely excited. He was looking forward to Qin Yun creating a puppet. On the floor of Qin Yun's room, there was a large bee skeleton. The bones were sparkling and translucent, and there were exquisite runes engraved on the inside. These runes were carved by him according to the heavenly lion totem. He first forged pieces of bones and then carved the totem runes onto the bones. Then, he used the refined beast tendons to connect all the bones together, forming a very large, complete bee skeleton. The outer skin will be wrapped with the scales of the evil dragon. The melted beast bones will be poured into the empty space in the middle as muscles. As for how to move it, it will depend on whether the heavenly lion totem tattoo is effective. Qin Yun studied the Iron Man of Blue Spirit Star Palace and discovered that the ape pattern had the greatest effect. It was like a soul in a shell. This was the essence of a puppet. If the lion puppet he forged couldn't move, it would most likely be a problem with the totem spirit runes. These bones have been specially refined and can also accumulate inner energy. If I were to engrave the 9 Yang spirit convergence array inside the armor piece, I would be able to absorb the 9 Yang spiritual energy to replenish my energy. And I still have to refine thought beads, energy storing beads, and so on. Over the past month, Qin Yun only rested for 2 hours every day. The rest of his time was devoted to refining the lion puppet. He was already in a very excited state, so he didn't feel tired at all. Now, he had already completed more than half of it, and it wouldn't be long before he would succeed. A few days later, Qin Yun wrapped the skeleton with a layer of evil flood dragon scale armor. The scales of the evil flood dragon had been refined by him using a special method. They were as flexible as beast skin and did not have the hardness of scales. The surface was a metallic silver color. As for the muscles, they were made from melted beast bones and a portion of high-grade spirit iron. A few important beads were placed in the middle of the lion. They were wrapped in a lot of refined meat, so the middle was the strongest position. A 4-meter-long silver lion was finally completed. The lion's head was meticulously carved by Qin Yun. It was completely silver in color and had a strong metallic feel to it. One could tell at a glance that it was a metal lion. I've engraved the blood pact and dripped blood on the little bead. Now, I only need to inject energy into it, and I'll know if I can succeed or not. Qin Yun activated the 9 Yang spirit convergence array of the puppet silver lion and began to absorb spiritual energy into the strength-storing pearl within the lion's body. The strength-storing pearl within the puppet silver lion's body was not as simple as storing internal energy. There was a storage space within it that could be used as energy to drive the crystal coins. Right now, the puppet silver lion was using the energy stored within the strength-storing pearl to activate the 9 Yang spirit convergence array and absorb the 9 suns' spiritual energy into the strength-storing pearl. After circulating for a period of time, the strength-storing pearl would be filled to the brim. Qin Yun closed his eyes and could feel the puppet silver lion absorbing energy. He couldn't help but smile happily. Those Iron Men need to change their strength-storing pearls. I don't need them. Let's see if the will bead can absorb my will and use it to drive the puppet silver lion. The key to success or failure will depend on this step. After he calmed down, he sent his mental energy into the puppet silver lion. After sensing the will bead, he injected his own will into it. Roar! The puppet silver lion suddenly roared. Fortunately, it was inside the cave, so it didn't make too much noise. However, Xia Wufeng and the others in the cave were all taken aback. Qin Yun was also frightened out of his wits by the lion's roar. He could feel the terrifying power of the puppet silver lion. Heavenly Lion Totem Tattoo. It really is the soul of the Heavenly Lion. It's too terrifying. He could not help but look at the totem on his left arm and become secretly excited. After the Heavenly Lion puppet woke up, it let out a roar. This meant that it had successfully brought the puppet back to life. Qin Yun used his mind to control the heavenly lion puppet to move around nimbly, pounce, and bite. It's a success. I never thought that the first time I refined it, it would be so smooth. Qin Yun was filled with joy as he wiped his sweat. Only now did he feel somewhat tired. Brother Yin, what happened? Huizhong knocked on Qin Yun's stone door and asked loudly. It's nothing. Qin Yun walked over to open the door and said with a smile. Xia Wufeng and Murong Darren were outside the door. When they looked inside, they saw a silver lion. With a glance, they could tell that it was not a real lion. Brother Yin, you succeeded. Murong Jun shouted as he rushed in. He looked at the tall silver lion and even touched it. He looked extremely excited. Qin Yun nodded and said with a smile, Yes, my current strength is limited. The strength of the puppet I refined isn't enough. It shouldn't be as durable as an Iron Man. Xia Wufeng and Huizhong were also very surprised. They quickly walked into the room and touched it with their hands. You managed to do it in a month. Isn't that too fast? Xia Wufeng was experienced and knowledgeable. He knew that this kind of puppet was not easy to refine, so he was even more surprised. Haha, not bad. Huizhong laughed and climbed onto his back. I don't know either. This is completely based on my own feelings. Qin Yun was now somewhat impressed with himself. Looks like you really are a genius in this area. Xia Wufeng said with a smile. Brother Yun, when you enter the Star Xianwu Academy in the future, you must refine a puppet beast for me. Murong Jun said with a smile. Only this kind of thing is worthy of the handsome me. At that time, when the little girls in the Star Xianwu Academy see me riding a puppet beast, they will definitely scream crazily and be bewitched by me. Chapter 128. Xiao Yumesia Wufeng looked at the silver lion puppet and said, Brother Yun, let it attack me and see how fast it is. Let's go to a bigger training room and test it out. During this month, Huizhong was bored and dug out a 100-meter wide stone room in the huge mountain. They headed for the huge stone room together. The torches on the stone walls immediately lit up, illuminating the large stone room. When Qin Yun arrived, he was also shocked. He said with a smile, Old Hua, you're really bored. Xia Wufeng was 50 meters away from the silver lion puppet as he shouted, Let the silver lion puppet attack me. Qin Yun said, All right. He immediately controlled the silver lion puppet to pounce at Xia Wufeng. The silver lion's speed was very fast. Like a silver light, it rapidly shot over. So fast, Xia Wufeng could not help but shout in alarm. After he dodged, he felt a lingering fear because he was almost pounced on. It's much faster than those stupid Iron Men. Murong Jun was also alarmed and shouted, If it was me, I definitely wouldn't be able to dodge it. So powerful. Qin Yun was also pleasantly surprised. He was secretly amazed at the power of the heavenly lion totem rune. The reason why the silver lion was so fast was because the totem runes in its body could perfectly circulate and absorb energy. It was like the soul of an experienced expert controlling a body. If the materials and the energy inside are stronger, the silver lion's strength will also be stronger. As Qin Yun spoke, he controlled the silver lion to pounce at Xia Wufeng again. Xia Wufeng's movement technique was extremely brilliant. He could always dodge, but it was not easy. There were a few times when his clothes were touched. Are there any other attacks? Xia Wufeng asked. Yes, it can spit fire and thunder from its mouth. Qin Yun said. He had refined something similar to a lightning wristband inside the lion's head. It could store energy, activate fire runes and lightning runes, and release lightning fire. All right, let's give it a try. Xia Wufeng shouted. Boss Xia, then you have to be careful. Qin Yun smiled and shouted. Then he controlled the silver lion to open its mouth and spit out a bolt of lightning. With a flash of lightning, it actually hit Xia Wufeng. He was sent flying by the lightning and crashed into the wall. Boss Xia, Qin Yun shouted anxiously. Xia Wufeng's face was full of surprise as he said with a smile, If I didn't defend in advance, I would have definitely suffered internal injuries. This lion's strength is comparable to most of the 6th-level martial body realm. Qinyan also saw that Xiao Wufeng did not attack just now. He was only dodging. Otherwise, with his strength, he would definitely be able to defeat the silver lion puppet. Brother Yun, you have to hide this treasure well. Don't let too many people know about it. This is a good thing for sneak attacks. Mu Rongjun chuckled and patted the silver lion's butt. Hua Zhong smiled and said, "It's a pity that I can only hide it." Qinyan let out a long sigh and said with a smile, "I've been here for a month. I'll go out and get some fresh air first." As he spoke of going out, Hua Zhong's expression changed. He warned, "Brother Yun, there are some disciples of the Black-level Martial Arts Academy outside. You must be careful when you go out." "What are they doing here?" Qinyan frowned and walked out. At noon, the sky was overcast. Gray clouds covered the 9 suns, making the earth gloomy and hot, as if a heavy rain was brewing. On the dark green lawn of the valley, there were dozens of tents of different colors. At the top of the tent, mist was rising. It was obvious that there was a spirit-gathering formation inside, gathering spiritual energy. "They're here to deal with ghost beasts," Xiao Wufeng said. "Ghost beasts are a very terrifying type of beast. They're very difficult to deal with. Blue Spirit Star Palace's trash were defeated by ghost beasts, right?" Qinyan remembered that the group of people had mentioned being attacked by ghost beasts that day. Yes, there weren't many ghost beasts to begin with. However, as more and more evil beasts appeared, more and more evil spirit souls attached themselves to the evil beasts and turned into ghost beasts. Xiao Wufeng's expression was solemn. Ghost beasts like to cut off people's hands and feet and then attach them to their own bodies. What a strange thing. Qinyan frowned as he looked at the tents. He asked, "Are they very strong?" Mu Rongjun said, "They are young students who have come to gain experience. Their people are not here yet, nor have they begun to move. This time, they have obtained the permission of the 3 Black-level martial academies to enter, unlike the disciples of the Star Palace who can casually enter." Qinyan asked, "In the past month, have any students from the 3 mysterious academy been attacked by ghost beasts?" "Yes, there are more than 10 students in total. All of them had their hands and feet cut off by the ghost beasts. The ghost beasts just won't kill them." Xiao Wufeng's expression was also solemn as he said, "During this period of time, Dienbai has advised us not to go out. Right now, everyone is waiting for the ghost beast to be cleaned up before they dare to go out." Hua Zhong smiled and said, "The last time we went out, we didn't encounter any ghost beasts. The luck of the ghost beasts is pretty good, otherwise they would have been killed by us." Xiao Wufeng shook his head and said, "Ghost beasts are not easy to deal with. They can't be killed with brute force. It's said that one needs a very strong mental force to kill a ghost beast. I don't know the specifics, but Dienbai told me that." Qinyan's eyes lit up. His own mental force was very strong, and he could turn his mind into a star. However, he didn't know how to use his mental force to deal with ghost beasts. "Someone else is coming." Mu Rongjun looked at the entrance of the valley and shouted in a low voice, "There are only a few people. Why are these students of the Black-level Martial Arts Academy so slow and procrastinating?" The ghost beasts outside had not been cleaned up, so they did not dare to leave the valley. It was said that once they encountered a ghost beast, they would not be able to escape. Qinyan looked at the few people who had entered the valley and realized that there was a young girl who was also very eye-catching. The young girl was dressed in white and had a petite figure. Her long ponytail was tied up with a purple ribbon. She had delicate eyebrows, snow-white skin, and an extremely beautiful appearance. There was a hint of arrogance in her eyes, and her expression was slightly cold. Qinyan looked at her and was secretly alarmed. This was because the young girl's appearance was 70% similar to Xiao Yuelan's. However, she was not as mature and elegant as Xiao Yuelan, nor did she have Xiao Yuelan's threatening, killing intent. "Isn't that Xiao Yuemei?" When Mu Rongjun saw Qinyan in a daze, he nudged him and warned, "Based on my experience with over a dozen women, this girl is not to be trifled with. Brother Yun, you must be careful of her." Qinyan had finally seen the real Xiao Yuemei. And Qinyan nodded. He did not know much about Xiao Yuemei. He only knew that the young girl had once wanted to take him in as a follower. When the other students of the Three Mysterious Academy saw Xiao Yueme arrive, they began to discuss in whispers. Because Xiao Yueme had also stayed in the Three Mysterious Academy before, almost all the older students here recognized her. She seems to be only 14 years old and is already at the 6th level of the martial body realm. Furthermore, her martial spirit is extremely mysterious. Xiao Wufeng said. Qingyan did not know what Xiao Yueme's attitude towards him was, although her sister treated him pretty well. When Dienbai saw that all the students of the Black Level Martial Arts Academy had arrived, he rang the bell. When the bell rang, all the students in the valley had to go to the training grounds in the middle to gather. The students of the Black Level Martial Arts Academy in the tent also walked out and headed to the training grounds in the middle to gather. Chapter 129. Du Gui. There were more than 50 students from the Black Level Martial Arts Academy, and most of them were in their 20s. Their faces were filled with arrogance. Not only did they look down on the students of the Three Mysterious Academy, they also looked down on the students of the other Black Level Martial Academies. Only the students of the Tian Xian Martial School and the Ling Xian Wu Academy. No one from the Star Xian Wu Academy has come. Huizhong said. He was born with a loud voice, so his voice was heard by the students of the Black Level Martial Arts Academy. A long-faced student from the Tian Xian Martial Arts Academy sneered. We can come because our mental strength is strong enough. The people of the Star Xian Wu Academy have weak mental strength, so they naturally did not come. Strong mental strength was also a type of talent, so this group of students from the Black Level Martial Arts Academy were extremely arrogant. After all the students in the valley gathered at the martial arts practice field, a black-robed, hunchbacked old man suddenly flew over. Behind him followed Guo Cheng, the vice principal of the Tian Xian Martial Arts Academy, and Luo Ku, the vice principal of the Ling Xian Wu Academy. When Qin Yun saw the hunchbacked elder, he could not help but be alarmed. He felt an inexplicable fear. Beside him, Huizhong and Murong Daren's faces were filled with fear. Xiao Wufeng was also sweating profusely. Even the 20 or so students of the Black Level Martial Arts Academy had expressions of fear on their faces. The hunchbacked elder said, I am Du Gui from the Star Xian Wu Academy. I am a teacher, and I specialize in mental strength. Although none of the students of our Star Xian Wu Academy have qualified mental strength, I still have to come here and teach you the mental strength martial arts so that you can deal with the ghost beasts. Du Gui was already short and hunched, making him look even smaller. However, there weren't many wrinkles on his face. His snow-white eyebrows were very long and hung down to his cheeks. His pair of small eyes shone brightly, making him look like a very gentle old man. After he withdrew his mental pressure, he continued, There are more than 200 students in the Three Mysterious Academy. I will choose from them to see if there are any with strong mental strength. If there are, I will follow you to gain experience. The students from the Black Level Martial Arts Academy immediately frowned. They looked down on the students of the Three Mysterious Academy, believing that they would drag them down. Teacher Du, if the weaklings here follow us, don't blame us if they die, a young man said coldly. I definitely won't blame you. Du Gui chuckled and said, Also, all of you have to pass my mental test in order to cultivate my cultivation technique. The spiritual energy test did not pose any pressure to the students of the Black Level Martial Arts Academy. They had also passed the test in order to come here. They lined up and waited for the test to begin. Du Gui took out a large plate of small white stones and scattered them on the ground. He said, I refined this stone. It's called the Flying God Stone. Cover these stones with your mental energy and they will float. The more floating rocks there are, the stronger the spiritual force. Generally speaking, you need to levitate 20 stones to pass, but now that you have to deal with ghost beasts, I raise the standard. You need to levitate 30 stones to pass. The students of the Black Level Martial Arts Academy began their tests. Although they were arrogant, they restrained themselves in front of Du Gui. Qin Yin watched seriously from the side. He wished that he could test himself to see the level of his mental strength. The first person to take the test was called Hongyu. He came from the Tianxian martial school. He stood beside the 100 white stones and used his mental energy to cover them. Very quickly, a few soaring stones on the ground floated up. When Hongyu saw this, he became extremely anxious. He released an even stronger mental force to cover the soaring stones on the ground. Then, more than 10 soaring stones floated up. Only 18. Du Gui shook his head. Guo Cheng said anxiously, Elder Du, this, Hongyu's mental strength, is also not bad. Du Gui shook his head and said, No, his level isn't high enough. He can't learn my mental force cultivation technique. Hongyu's forehead was covered in sweat, and his face was flushed red. However, the other soaring stones were unable to float. There were only 18 of them in total. He was actually unable to pass Du Gui's mental strength test. Those arrogant black-level martial arts academy students were secretly shocked. They finally understood why there were no students in the Star Xianwu Academy. It was because they were unable to pass such a difficult test. Next, Du Gui shouted. The one who came up to take the test was a bewitching woman in red. She could only float 20 soaring stones. Normally, that would be enough. However, to deal with ghost beasts, she needed to use 30 of them, so she did not qualify. From the very beginning, 2 people had failed. This made the students of the Black-level Martial Arts Academy extremely worried. Du Gui's test was too harsh. It was very likely that they would be eliminated a lot. This was a very shameful matter. After a few tests, they all failed. The next youth had a cold and arrogant expression on his face. He was filled with confidence, as if he could pass the test. Wu Yuchun, he has the strongest mental strength in our Ling Xianwu Academy. He comes from a family with mental strength, so he will definitely pass. A person said. Wu Yuchun walked over and released his mental energy. Soaring stones floated up one after another. Soon, it exceeded 20 and reached 25. When everyone saw this, they couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. Wu Yuchun's expression turned slightly serious. Then, with a muffled snort, he increased his mental strength, and 2 more soaring stones floated up. 27. 29, one more. Suddenly, another 5 soaring stones floated up. 34, amazing. The students of the 3 Mysterious Academy shouted in surprise. Wu Yuchun's entire body was covered in sweat. It could be seen that he had done his best. Although his face was pale, the arrogance on his face did not fade. To be able to pass Du Gui's test made him even more proud. Du Gui nodded and said, Wu Yuchun has passed. Next. Soon after, the remaining 40 or so students of the Black-level Martial Arts Academy were tested one after another. It had to be said that there were quite a few students with strong mental strength. Many of them could reach over 25, and currently, only 15 people could pass. Other than Wu Yuchun, the others could only float 30 soaring stones. It would be extremely difficult to add another one. It's Xiao Yuemei's turn. She's the youngest and the last. I wonder if she can pass. It's been a while since I last saw her. She seems to have become much more beautiful. She's only 14 years old, and she's already at the 6th level of the martial body realm. Her mental strength is also very strong. Just like her sister, her talent is very high. When it came to Xiao Yuemei, everyone began to discuss. She was a very beautiful girl, and she was also very strong. Naturally, she attracted a lot of attention. Xiao Yuemei's beautiful face was cold as she walked to the side of the soaring stones. With a light snort, she released her mental energy, and a large number of soaring stones suddenly floated up. Just casually, there were dozens of soaring stones floating in the air. The surroundings immediately burst into an uproar. They were all shocked. Du Gui's face was also filled with astonishment as he said, 55 pills, and he hasn't even used his full strength. Xiao Yuemei had only released her mental energy for a moment before hurriedly putting it away. Her face was filled with a relaxed expression. In front of them, after the others finished their tests, They looked as if they had lost half their lives. Little girl, release all of your mental energy for me to see. Du Gue laughed. I'm too lazy. It's very tiring. Xiao Yuanmei snorted before walking to the side. No matter how talented I am, I'm still a student of the Tianxian Martial School. What does that have to do with you? Chapter 130. Mental Power Competition. Du Gue was a master of mental power, so the mental power martial arts he had were all very good. To people who cultivated mental power, those cultivation techniques were very precious. If one could obtain it, they would be able to increase their use of mental power. The other students were all extremely envious of Xiao Yuanmei. Wu Yuqin secretly gritted his teeth, his eyes filled with jealousy. One had to know that he had used all his strength to make the 34 god soaring stones float in the air, making him the center of attention. But now, Xiao Yuanmei had easily made more than 50 god soaring stones float in the air, far surpassing him. He had worked so hard just now to become the strongest, but now, no one was looking at him. This made him very unhappy. I don't want it. Xiao Yuanmei turned her face away and no longer looked at Du Gue. She snorted and said, What if I use my full strength and you don't give me a cultivation technique? Wouldn't that be a waste of effort? Don't even think about lying to me. It was obvious that she wanted a cultivation technique, but she was worried. Du Gue could not help but laugh a few times and said, All right. As long as you use all your strength to test it, I'll give it to you. Xiao Yuanmei turned her head and pouted. She said coquettishly, You're not allowed to lie to me? Du Gue said with a smile, How can I lie to you? Hurry up and test it. Xiao Yuanmei took a deep breath and released her mental power. Everyone felt a cold air assault them. This was Xiao Yuanmei's mental influence. There were only 100 god soaring stones on the ground, and now 80 of them were floating in the air. She had used all her strength to reach such a level. Everyone at the scene was stunned. What was shocking was that the god soaring stones on the ground were still floating up. Another 10 or so god soaring stones floated up. Xiao Yuanmei's beautiful face was already pale without a trace of blood. It could be seen that she had used all her strength to crazily activate her mental power. 100. All the god soaring stones on the ground were floating. It's done. Du Gue was also very shocked and quickly shouted. He took out a necklace and walked over. He said with a smile, This is a small gift for you. It can help you quickly recover your mental power. Quickly wear it. The necklace was sparkling and translucent, as if it was made of crystal. It was extremely beautiful. It's so beautiful. Xiao Yuanmei immediately took it and put it around her neck. Thank you, Teacher Du. After she put it on, her complexion gradually returned to normal, and her pretty little face revealed a faint blush. Du Gue said with a smile, Wait for the little ghosts from the 3 Mysterious Academy to finish their tests. I'll give you more cultivation arts. Wu Yuchan was in a hurry to get the cultivation technique. His voice was full of disdain as he said, There's no need to test them, right? It's a waste of time. If he had the ability, he would have already entered the Black Level Martial Arts Academy. That's right. Even if they pass, would they dare to fight the ghost beasts? What if he dies in there? A student of the Tianxian Martial School shouted at the students of the 3 Mysterious Academy. If you guys are afraid of death, then don't take the test. If you pass the test, you will go to the Cloud Dragon Mountain Range to fight ghost beasts. Although the students of the 3 Mysterious Academy were very angry, they thought about it and felt that the ghost beasts were not easy to deal with, so they all left. They just wanted to wait for the assessment to come and participate in the assessment in their best state. If he was injured by the ghost beast, he would not be able to pass the examination and enter the Black Level Martial Arts Academy. Du Gue frowned slightly, but did not say anything because there were still a few people to be tested. Huazhong, Xia Wufeng, Murong Darren, and Qinyan were all going to take the test. First was Huazhong. He could only float 15 god soaring stones, which was considered average. Murong Darren was slightly stronger than Huazhong, 17 pills. As for Xia Wufeng, he was actually able to reach 28 pills. He was stronger than many of the students from the Black Level Martial Arts Academy. If you can get some pointers, your mental strength will definitely increase. I'll give you a cultivation technique later. Du Gui could tell that Xie Wufeng had great potential with a single glance. Thank you, Teacher Du, Xie Wufeng hurriedly said gratefully. Next, it was Qin Yun's turn. When the students of the Black Level Martial Arts Academy heard this name, they began to whisper to each other. Qin Yun? It's the guy who caused a lot of trouble here a while ago, right? That's him. I heard that when he was in the Hidden Dragon martial arts competition, Xiao Yueme even gave him the first place in the Hidden Dragon martial arts competition. I heard about this too. Didn't Xiao Yueme's sister hate Qin Yun very much? As a younger sister, she actually helped Qin Yun like this and gave up the profound heart grass. Xiao Yueme was here. When she heard these words, she only snorted coldly. That was because at that time, the one competing with Qin Yun was not her, but Xiao Yuelan, who had replaced her. Morong Darren looked at Qin Yun with a surprised expression. He had just told Qin Yun to be careful of Xiao Yueme, but now, when he heard that Xiao Yueme had given up the profound heart grass, he felt admiration in his heart. Brother Yun, you are almost Xiao Yueme's brother-in-law. Hua Zhong chuckled. His voice was especially loud, so everyone here heard it. Xiao Yueme was expressionless as she turned her face to the side. Du Gui looked at Qin Yun and said with a chuckle, "You brat, you're also a willful fellow. You actually rejected the invitation of our Star Xianwu Academy. That's the first time in so many years that we've made an exception and been rejected by you. In any case, I'll definitely be able to enter the Star Xianwu Academy." Qin Yun chuckled and said, "Teacher Du, if I can levitate a lot of stones, can you give me another mental force cultivation technique?" "Well, it all depends on the results of your test," Elder Du said with a smile. Wu Yu-chan smiled disdainfully and said, "How strong can a guy from his bloodline be?" Murong Darren laughed mockingly and said, "Ignorant thing, Qin Yun is an inscription master. Inscribing spirit inscriptions requires a high level of mental strength. No matter how weak his mental strength is, he's still stronger than an idiot like you." Wu Yu-chan was immediately infuriated. He never expected that a student of the Three Mysterious Academy would dare to contradict him in such a manner. Just as he was about to retort, he saw the god soaring stone on the ground slowly float up. Dozens of god soaring stones suddenly floated up. Just like Xiao Yueme, Qin Yun easily made dozens of god soaring stones float in the air. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air and exclaimed in admiration. This kind of talent was about the same as Xiao Yueme's. The mental force of an inscription master is indeed very strong. Qin Yun doesn't seem to have entered the Xian Level Martial Arts Academy. He hasn't received any mental force cultivation, and he's already that strong. He hasn't used his full strength yet. Mu Rongjun laughed and said, "This level has instantly killed most of the people in the Xian Level Martial Arts Academy, especially the frog at the bottom of a well from a family with mental strength. Now you know how stupid you are, looking down on others." Wu Yuchen's face was filled with anger and jealousy. The difference between his mental strength and Qin Yun's was very obvious. They were not on the same level at all. It was one thing for Xiao Yueme to surpass him by so much previously. After all, Xiao Yueme's talent was there for all to see. But right now, Qin Yun, the person he looked down on, had actually far surpassed him. After a while, there were still 30 god soaring stones floating in the air. There were a total of 80 of them. "I did my best," Qin Yun said with a pale face. Du Gui chuckled and said, very good, very good." "Liar, he didn't do his best." Xiao Yueme snorted. Chapter 131. Kamikaze. Everyone is very doubtful about Xiao Yueme's words because they can see that Qin Yun is already doing his best. His face is pale. Qin Yun indeed did not use his full strength. On one hand, he did not want to expose his powerful mental power. On the other hand, he did not want to steal Xiao Yueme's limelight. Because the first place of the Hidden Dragon martial art competition was given to him by her sister, He had to give her some face here. Xiao Yuemei said with sneer, "You are suppressing your mental power. Do you think I can't see it? Aren't you just worried about stealing my limelight? I gave you the first place in the Hidden Dragon sect back then. Do you think I'm afraid of you stealing my thunder now?" Qin Yun was startled and forced a smile. "You're thinking too much." Du Gui frowned before saying with a bright smile, "Qin Yun, your mental force is not strong enough. You can only learn ordinary mental force martial arts." Qin Yun cursed inwardly and said with dissatisfaction, "It's already 80 god soaring stones floating in the air. Isn't it strong enough? It's not bad, but it's not enough. Your mental strength is not strong enough, so I don't dare to let you learn those profound mental martial arts. It's easy for problems to arise." Du Gui smiled treacherously. "Then I'll test it again." In order to have a better mental force martial art, Qin Yun could only do it once. Xiao Yuemei fiercely glared at him and said with a delicate snort, "I already said that you didn't use your full strength. You are still so stubborn." Du Gui chuckled and said, all right. I'll start over. Indeed, Qin Yun had hidden a portion of his mental strength and did not release it. This surprised many people, especially the two vice principals of the Black Level Martial Arts Academy. Everyone stared intently at the god soaring stones on the ground. Not long after, the god soaring stones began to float in the air. In just a short while, there were more than 80 of them floating in the air. "Still not strong enough. Continue," Du Gui said with a smile. He seemed to have noticed that Qin Yun had hidden his strength very deeply. Qin Yun gritted his teeth and released a bit of mental power from the star in his head. Then another 5 god soaring stones floated in the air. He asked, "Is that enough?" Du Gui shook his head. "Not enough." Xiao Yuemei's beautiful eyebrows furrowed. She tenderly snorted and said, "You bastard, why are you being so wishy-washy? Release your strongest mental power in one breath." Qin Yun secretly gritted his teeth before taking a deep breath. With a loud roar, he released all the mental energy in the star crystal and gathered it together, enveloping all the god soaring stones. All of the god soaring stones floated in the air and trembled violently. 100 god stone as floating in the air. How amazing! As strong as Xiao Yuemei's mental power. This guy really hid his strength well. How did he cultivate to become so strong? This is too terrifying. The people from the Profound Level Martial Arts Academy are a few hundred streets behind. Du Gui was also shocked when he saw this. Just as everyone was discussing, the trembling soul, soaring stone, suddenly emitted a series of crisp sounds. Pa 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 pa. It actually exploded. Everyone was dumbfounded. His powerful mental strength caused all the soul soaring stones to explode. How strong was Qin Yun's mental strength? This far surpassed Xiao Yuemei. When Du Gui saw the god soaring stone shatter, he was so shocked that his mouth gaped open. His small eyes widened. Qin Yun sighed to himself, "Crap, I used too much strength." Xiao Yuemei's eyes were also filled with surprise, but there was also a hint of playfulness. She said with a charming smile, "Qin Yun, you're finished. You've broken Teacher Du's precious stone. That's a very precious item. One of them is worth 100,000 crystal coins. 100 pills was 10 million crystal coins." Qin Yun cursed Xiao Yuemei in his heart. That girl, she had actually tricked him in secret. It doesn't matter. After Du Gui recovered from his shock, he released his mental energy. The many small pieces of god soaring stones all floated up and flew into a box. Now, everyone was certain that Qin Yun's mental strength was extremely strong. It was even much stronger than Xiao Yuemei's. "Teacher Du, aren't you going to give me something?" Qin Yun's face was filled with anticipation as he asked. "You just gave Xiao Yuemei a necklace." He had destroyed a god-soaring stone that was worth 10 million crystal coins, and he still wanted someone to give him something. This kind of person was really thick-skinned. Even Morong Darren secretly despised him. I don't have anything good to give you now." Du Gui laughed dryly and said, "I'm sorry. It's fine. I'll owe it to you first. I can give it to you next time, Qin Yun said with a smile. It's a deal. Teacher Du, your mental strength is so strong. Your memory must be very good. You definitely won't forget this matter. Everyone secretly despised him. He actually had the cheek to ask for a gift. There were a total of 17 people who passed Du Gui's test. They all received a copy of Spirit Gathering Kill. This was a high-grade spirit-level martial art, but it was only the first part. There were a total of 3 parts. Although it's only the first part, it's enough for you to deal with ghost beasts. After Du Gui finished speaking, he took out another book and waved it in his hand. He said to Qin Yun and Xiao Yuanmei, "This is another cultivation technique I'll give you. There's only one book, you guys. You guys can learn it together." Xiao Yuanmei hurriedly snatched it over and glanced at Qin Yun. She said, "Take me to your room." Then, under the watchful eyes of everyone, Qin Yun brought Xiao Yuanmei into the cave. Murong Daren's face revealed a look of admiration as he said in a low voice, "A man and a woman learning martial arts in there alone? Brother Yun is really too amazing. He is usually gentle and refined, but I never thought that the art of controlling women would be so brilliant. He is truly a role model for our generation." The group of students was in an uproar. Xiao Yuanmei was actually in the same room as Qin Yun. Although everyone knew that Xiao Yuanmei had given the first place in the Hidden Dragon Academy to Qin Yun, their relationship had developed too quickly. In the Tianqian Martial School, Xiao Yuanmei has many suitors, and they are all very talented. However, she doesn't even look at them in the eye. Now, she's treating Qin Yun so well. Qin Yun's mental strength is so strong, and he's also an inscription master. He can forge a storage spirit artifact, but it's normal for a future inscription master to be fancied by her. I'm a woman, so I definitely won't dislike him. Are they really studying when they enter the room? Qin Yun never expected that Xiao Yuanmei would be the same as her sister. In short, she would do something unfathomable. After bringing Xiao Yuanmei into his stone room, he closed the stone door. "Qin Yun, don't act recklessly. That day, I didn't personally go up on stage to compete with you, but that doesn't mean that I'm not your match." The moment Xiao Yuanmei entered, she warned Qin Yun with a cold expression. "Don't worry. Even if you lend me 10 guts, I wouldn't dare. I would be sliced to death by your sister." Qin Yun curled his lips and snorted. "Look at you, I look like that kind of person. I'm an honest person." Xiao Yuanmei casually sat on a chair and looked around. She discovered many blueprints, furnaces, and all kinds of beast bones. She asked, "Qin Yun, is your martial spirit really not dead?" Xiao Yuanmei, who appeared to be very delicate on the surface, suddenly gave off a rather straightforward feeling. She casually took out a fruit and started eating it. "Of course my martial spirit isn't dead. It's all what Master Wei and those idiots think," Qin Yun said with a sneer. Chapter 132. Reputation in Danger. It's good that your martial spirit isn't dead. My sister is secretly worried. She's afraid that you won't be able to participate in the engagement party or something, Xiao Yuanmei said as she chewed on the fruit. "What is it? She really wants me to go? Why?" Qin Yun also took the opportunity to ask about Xiao Yuelon. He felt that the Xiao Yuanmei in front of him was easier to communicate with. Xiao Yuanmei opened the book that Du Gui had given her. As she read, she said, "That's right. She wants you to see how she and Qin Zhengfeng got engaged." Oh, Qin Yun did not pursue the matter. He walked over and sat beside Xiao Yuanmei to read the book together. "My sister was originally going to marry you, but now she's married to Qin Zhengfeng. Don't you feel sad?" Xiao Yuanmei rolled her eyes at Qin Yun and said with a pout. Qin Yun said with a smile, "What's there to feel bad about? Whoever marries a woman like your sister will feel bad. I think you're better. Why don't you marry me? I won't treat you unfairly." Xiao Yuanmei giggled and said, "You want to marry me?" After saying that, she stood up and sat on the table. She crossed her arms over her chest and said with a charming smile, "You won't feel good even if you marry me. I think you're not bad. You're quite cute. I really want to pinch you." As Qin Yin spoke, he reached out his hand, but it was slapped away by Xiao Yuemei's lily-white hand. Don't mess around, Xiao Yuemei said with a light pout. Seriously, do you want my sister to marry Qin Jingfeng? Do you know that your marriage with my sister was negotiated by your mother? Now, it has been ruined by the Tian Qin Empress, and it has benefited Qin Jingfeng? Qin Yin frowned and said with a nod, I really don't want her to marry Qin Jingfeng. The reason why elder sister gave you first place is because I hope that you could become strong. Then, when they get engaged, we can have a fight. Xiao Yuemei revealed a smile and said, From the looks of it, you have the potential to cause trouble. You've caused a lot of trouble in the past. Your sister doesn't want to marry Qin Jingfeng? Qin Yin sked. If she doesn't want to marry, is there nothing she can do? She's at the 8th level martial body realm. She's not weak either. Xiao Yuemei let out a long sigh. Although she went to Blue Spirit Star Palace, she was accompanied by 2 old women of the martial Dao realm. Do you know why? It's to keep a close eye on her, worried that she'll run away. Qin Yin sighed as well. We girls have a bitter life. Our martial Dao talent is very high, but we will be treated as treasures and sold off by our families. We have no choice but to do so. I will also have the same fate in the future. Xiao Yuemei's face was filled with helplessness as she fiercely bit the apple a few times. Run now, Qin Yun said. Well, where can I run to? Hiding from me to cultivate? There is no way to improve it. Back then, elder sister had thought of waiting until she reached the 9th level martial body realm before hiding in seclusion to break through to the martial Dao realm. But now she can't. Xiao Yuemei's face was filled with worry. She was extremely worried for her sister. What conditions did the Tianqin Empire agree to for you to marry Xiao Yuelon to someone like Qin Jingfeng? Qin Yin was very curious about this because Xiao Yuelon was much better than Qin Jingfeng in all aspects. It's said that Xian artifacts and Xian level cultivation techniques are used in exchange. Xiao Yuemei said, I also heard that there are a few big families that are fighting to get my sister. They're all offering very high conditions, so when the time comes for the engagement, it will definitely be very lively. When Qin Yin heard this, he was somewhat angry. What do you think your sister is? This is simply an auction. That's right. It's precisely because of this that I'm very angry. That's why I hope you can go and cause a ruckus. Xiao Yuemei patted Qin Yin on the shoulder. It's all up to you now. Big sister gave you the profound heart grass. You need to repay her kindness. Qin Yin knew that the matter of the profound heart grass was not that simple. No matter what, he had to help Xiao Yuelon. What about you? Who is the Tian Xiao Empire planning to sell you to? How much is it? Qin Yin looked at Xiao Yuemei, who was sitting on the table, and asked with a chuckle. Xiao Yuemei's beautiful face was filled with a crafty smile as she said with a charming smile, After tonight, I won't be able to sell it. Guess the reason? Qin Yin was taken aback. After thinking about it carefully, he could not help but curse in his heart. They were alone in the same room, and they had even spent the night together. Even if nothing happened, others would definitely let their imaginations run wild. After tonight, his clean reputation might be ruined in the hands of this little girl in front of him. Therefore, those aristocratic families who wanted to marry Xiao Yuemei would immediately give up on the idea of getting engaged to her. La 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 la. Xiao Yuemei happily hummed a little tune as she swayed her legs and ate the fruit. It's not dark yet. Hurry up and get out. Qin Yin did not want others to think that he had done something to Xiao Yuemei. All right, I'll tear up my clothes and leave immediately. Xiao Yuemei smiled sweetly, like a devil. Qin Yin sat down on a chair and cursed himself for being careless. He had actually been tricked by this little girl. He said with a bitter face, I didn't do anything to you. Xiao Yuemei bared her jade teeth and said with a charming smile, As long as others think that you've done something to me, it's fine. I don't care about my reputation anymore. Why do you care so much? Of course I care. If you do this, how am I going to find a wife in the future? Others will think that I'm a big bastard, making a move on a little girl like you. This time, I'm finished. My reputation has been ruined. Qin Yin looked as if he had nothing to live for. Only now did he realize that these two sisters were not to be trifled with, especially this little girl in front of him who looked ice-cold on the outside, but was incomparably treacherous on the inside. It was even more impossible to guard against her. Back then, when elder sister replaced me and gave you the first place in the Hidden Dragon sect, it made people think that I was interested in Qin. After you displayed such astonishing mental power, I fell in love with you. My heart was stirred, so I stayed in the same room with you. One night of passion, it is reasonable and reasonable. And, when the time comes, the story will be spread like this. Xiao Yuanmei giggled. Qin Yun let out a long sigh. He could only accept it and treat it as repaying the kindness of the profound heart grass. Come and read. Xiao Yuanmei pulled him up and sat on the table with a carefree expression. Qin Yun leaned over to take a look and said, Imperial Spirit Art? Xiao Yuanmei nodded and said, This is Old Man Du Gui's very brilliant mental force martial art. He can use mental force to control all kinds of things. Although martial artists can use their inner force to control objects through the air in the future, it is far inferior to using mental force. This is because when inner force is used to control things, the condensed inner force inside will be scattered and will lose its effectiveness. Little girl, how do you know so much? What the hell is your martial spirit? Qin Yun suddenly asked curiously. Secret. Xiao Yuanmei snorted lightly before continuing to talk about the Imperial Spirit Art. If we learn this technique, we will be able to use our inner force and mental force to control spirit weapons and carry out a very strong attack through the air. For example, during a martial art competition, if someone else's weapon falls, we can control their weapon. Qin Yun thought for a moment and exclaimed, This is indeed very powerful. Chapter 133. Imperial Spirit Technique. The Imperial Spirit Technique had Du Gui's annotations, which made it easier for them to read. Very quickly, they finished memorizing it. Tell me your understanding. Xiao Yuanmei gently pushed Qin Yun. You rascal, why are you in a daze? Hurry up and say it. I'm thinking, if the Tian Shao Empire thinks that I've done something to you, they will definitely take revenge on me, right? I crippled Xiao Lang and took away the Snow Lion's corpse. They already hate me for a long time, and now they've done this. Qin Yun was very worried about this matter. Xiao Yuanmei rolled her eyes slightly and snorted. You've even provoked the Blue Spirit Star Palace. Why are you afraid of our Tian Shao Empire? You're the future Grandmaster of Inscriptions. Have some courage. But right now, I haven't gotten any benefits at all, and I've already formed such a huge enmity with the Tian Shao Empire. Furthermore, my reputation has been ruined. I've suffered a great loss. Qin Yun felt extremely uncomfortable when he thought of this. Didn't you obtain the profound heart grass? Xiao Yuanmei curled her lips and said, All right, I admit it. Qin Yun sighed again. Xiao Yuanmei snorted lightly and said, Actually, you don't have to worry too much. Those powerful families are all gathering their financial resources to snatch my sister. Even if they can't get me, it would only be a pity. Why? You're not any worse than your sister. Why are you so worthless? Qin Yun sized up Xiao Yuanmei and said, Maybe it's just a little smaller. They snatched my sister not only because she has peerless talent, but also because of the immortal graveyard diagram on her. Xiao Yuanmei's words shocked Qin Yun greatly. The immortal graveyard diagram was actually in Xiao Yuelan's hands. Qin Yun also had a portion of the immortal graveyard diagram. It was given to him by Qin Yonghe. The immortal graveyard diagram in Xiao Yuelan's hands was definitely a part of it. It was not complete, but there were still so many people fighting for it. You know about the immortal graveyard diagram? Xiao Yuanmei asked when she saw Qin Yun's expression change. I've heard of it. Why is such an important thing with your sister? Qin Yun thought that the immortal graveyard diagram was in the hands of the Tian Shao Emperor. If it was only in Xiao Yuelan's hands, as long as he hooked up with her, he wouldn't need to face the entire Tian Shao imperial family. The immortal graveyard diagram has a spirit. When Big Sister was very young, she accidentally dripped a drop of blood on the immortal graveyard diagram, and it fused into her body. She has never been able to take it out. This matter only spread after Big Sister went to Blue Spirit Star Palace recently, so all the powers want to obtain Big Sister. Xiao Yuanmei said, "Doesn't your Tian Shao Empire want it? The immortal graveyard diagram is very precious." Qin Yun said, "That's only a part of it. It's not worth much. I don't even know where the other 3 parts are." Xiao Yuanmei stuck out her tongue. But those idiots think that a portion of the immortal graveyard diagram is enough to find the immortal graveyard. Qin Yun suddenly suspected that Shi Meiyan had also obtained the immortal graveyard diagram. Because she came from a poor background and her mother was a servant, she definitely did not have many cultivation resources. However, at such a young age, she had stepped into the 6th level of the martial body realm and entered the Star Xianwu Academy. It was very likely that she had improved by leaps and bounds because she had fused her blood with the immortal graveyard diagram. Qin Yun really wanted to immediately throw Xiao Yuanmei out and drip her blood on the immortal graveyard diagram to take a look. Let's talk about the Imperial Spirit technique. We need to quickly cultivate it and then enter the Cloud Dragon Mountain range to kill ghost beasts. Xiao Yuanmei said, "If I kill a lot, I'll be rewarded. What about me? Do I have a reward too?" Qin Yun asked anxiously. "You? Ask Teacher Du," Xiao Yuanmei said. Following that, Qin Yun explained his understanding of the Imperial Spirit technique. After Xiao Yuanmei heard this, she giggled and said, "Your perception of martial arts is indeed very high. You understood it so quickly." She also explained her understanding of the situation. After Qin Yun heard that, he said with a smile, "Your perception is not bad as well. It looks like you didn't get lucky to reach the 6th level of the martial body realm." Xiao Yuanmei bared her teeth and glared at him. "You're the one who got lucky to cultivate." She took out a sword and began to use her mental power to control it. As for Qin Yun, he took out many bees' skins and began to cut them. When Xiao Yuanmei saw this, she asked curiously, "What are you doing?" "Talisman. I want to refine some ghost suppression talismans." Qin Yun said, "I have the ghost suppression spirit rune, so I should be able to refine it. I just don't know if it will have any effect on ghost beasts." "Then you craft talismans first. I'll teach you after I learn the Imperial Spirit technique and the Spirit Concentration Kill technique." Xiao Yuanmei held the sword and continued practicing. The Spirit Concentration Kill technique was to strike one's mental power together and then attack. To Xiao Yuanmei, this was not difficult at all. Her mental power was strong, so she could easily grasp it. The night passed quickly. The Imperial Spirit technique is really difficult. Xiao Yuanmei practiced for an entire night. She could only use her mental power to control the sword to float and float around. If you wanted to control the sword to fly, it would be extremely difficult. "Take your time," Qin Yun said. He had refined quite a number of ghost suppression talismans. "We'll be leaving in 3 days. I have to master it as soon as possible." Xiao Yuanmei snorted and said, "I wonder if the ghost beasts will be difficult to kill at that time. If you can't beat them, then run. It's not important if you don't learn other cultivation techniques well. You must master movement techniques well so that you can run faster." Qin Yun said with a smile. Dong, dong, dong. Early in the morning, the bell rang outside. "Come, let's go out," Xiao Yuanmei said. "What should come will come." Qin Yun sighed and then went to open the stone door. When he arrived at the hall, he saw Murong Darren chuckling. "Good morning, sister-in-law. Good morning, brother Yun." Murong Darren greeted with a smile. Just as Qin Yun was about to explain something, he saw Xiao Yuanmei tidying up her messy clothes. It was obvious that she was doing it on purpose. He didn't want to explain anything anymore. In any case, he wouldn't be able to explain it clearly. The students outside gathered together. When the boys saw Qin Yun and Xiao Yuanmei walk out, they were so jealous that they went crazy. Qin Yun has quite a few long hairs on his body. They definitely aren't his. He seems to have the fragrance of Xiao Yuanmei. Besides, the rice is cooked. If they get along, the Tian Shao Empire will definitely want to kill Qin Yun. Qin Yun and Xiao Yuelan's marriage has been ruined, but he has gotten along with her sister. Sai, Everyone felt that it was a pity that the cabbage was used to feed the pig. When Qin Yin heard all sorts of discussions, his heart collapsed. He did not do anything. He glanced at Xiao Yuanmei and realized that the little girl's face was filled with pride. Qin Yin, what did you do to Xiao Yuanmei? Guocheng walked over and asked angrily. What did I do to her has nothing to do with you. Qin Yin was already infuriated, but Guocheng's inexplicable anger at him made him even more furious. Guocheng was the vice principal of the Tianxian Martial School, and he was in the martial Dao realm. Many of the geniuses in the Tianxian Martial School had to be respectful in front of him, but Qin Yin was so arrogant. You, Xiao Yuanmei, has been fancied by many disciples of famous families. None of your business. She is a student of my Tianxian Martial School. None of your business. That's right, it really had nothing to do with him, Guocheng. Xiao Yuanmei was not his daughter. Chapter 134. Bone refining formation. Xiao Yuanmei stood at the side with a calm expression. It was impossible to tell what she was thinking. Mu Rongjun said with a smile, Sister-in-law, my brother Yun is a good person. You and him will definitely not be wrong. He called Xiao Yuanmei's sister-in-law, and Xiao Yuanmei only smiled slightly. This relationship was very clear. Only Qin Yun knew that Xiao Yuanmei was using him to escape and avoid being forced into marriage. Everyone has studied the spirit concentration kill for an entire night. They should have made some progress. Come and give it a try. If it's enough, we could go kill ghost beasts to train our hands. Du Gui laughed. Guocheng and the other teachers of the Tianxian Martial School could only swallow their anger. Although Du Gui was only a teacher, he was still very strong. He would definitely protect Qin Yin, so they did not dare to make a move against him. Next, everyone used the spirit concentration kill to attack the rocks and wood. As long as they could shatter the rocks, they would be able to fight the ghost beasts. Qin Yin and Xiao Yuanmei were able to easily shatter the rocks. Then, they returned to the stone room in the cave together. It was broad daylight, so who knew what they were going to do? Inside the stone room, Xiao Yuanmei continued to practice the imperial spirit technique. When Qin Yin saw this, he began to practice with her to control the ghost head saber. Xiao Yuanmei was very diligent. It was obvious that she was eager to increase her strength. Now they all believe that we're together. That brother of yours did well. He called me sister-in-law. It's really nice to hear. Xiao Yuanmei giggled. Second brother Morong, that bastard. I'll teach him a lesson next time. Qin Yin cursed softly. Why are you so angry? Are you worried that it will be difficult to find a woman in the future? Xiao Yuanmei giggled. Umph. Qin Yin snorted. He was indeed worried about this. Xiao Yuanmei laughed even more happily as she continued her cultivation. 2 days later, the bell rang. Qin Yin and Xiao Yuanmei gathered at the training grounds. Today, they were going out to hunt ghost beasts. Xiao Yuanmei had also changed into a set of exquisite black clothes, making her look a little heroic. Qin Yin was also wearing a black outfit. Xiao Yuanmei had deliberately worn the same color as him to make people feel that the two of them had a good relationship. When she was in the stone room, Xiao Yuanmei had been laughing all day. But after coming out, she had a cold and arrogant expression on her face. What a two-faced girl. Qin Yin cursed inwardly. This was how he had been deceived. Because no one knew that this seemingly cold and delicate little girl was actually very treacherous and astute. Guocheng glared fiercely at Qin Yin before saying loudly to the dozen or so students who were participating in the hunting of ghost beasts, Today, we will begin hunting ghost beasts. For all of you, this is a rare opportunity to gain experience. This will increase your control over your mental energy. The team that kills the most ghost beasts will be able to enter the bone refining formation to cultivate for a month. What about me? Qin Yin shouted. Aren't you satisfied with this opportunity to train and obtain a cultivation technique? The bone refining pool is an important place built by our 3 martial courtyards. You are not qualified to enter. Guocheng snorted. Du Gui said, Qin Yun, if your team kills the first number of ghost beasts, I will help you fight for a chance to enter the bone refining formation when you enter our Star Xianwu Academy in the future. Mu Rongjun, who was at the side, said in surprise, the bone refining formation is a place that can promote the cultivation of the Vajra bone. Once you cultivate the Vajra bone, you will be able to step into the 7th level martial body realm. Du Gui said with a smile, it's not as godly as the rumors say. It's just that it's of some help. Qin Yun secretly looked forward to it. He also knew that the 3 Xian level martial academies often work together to create some mysterious things, such as the profound heart grass from before. All right, now you can start forming your own teams. Guo Cheng shouted, it's very important to choose a good teammate. I'm with Brother Yun. Xiao Yuemei's cold voice was heard. She actually addressed Qin Yun as Brother Yun. Now, everyone could confirm the relationship between Qin Yun and Xiao Yuemei. When Guo Cheng heard that, he became anxious and hurriedly advised, Yuemei, you have to think this through. There's a problem with Qin Yun's martial spirit, and he's far inferior to you in all aspects. He will definitely drag you down. You should form a team with the students of our Black Level Martial Arts Academy. With your talent and mental power, we will definitely be able to get first place. Xiao Yuemei was well aware of Qin Yun's strength. Ignoring his performance at the Hidden Dragon martial arts competition, just in the past 3 days, she had discovered Qin Yun's astonishing comprehension of martial arts. Because of this perception, he learned the Imperial Spirit art very quickly. In 3 days, he was able to control the Ghost Head Saber to slash. As for Xiao Yuemei, under his guidance, she had mastered the Imperial Spirit art and could control her sword to stab. I've thought it through very clearly. I want to be with Brother Yun. Don't worry about me, Xiao Yuemei said coldly, not giving Guo Cheng a good look. Good. Then do whatever you want. Guo Cheng was very angry as he said coldly. There were a total of 3 teams. They were Qin Yun and Xiao Yuemei's team, the Ling Xian Wu Academy's team of 7, and the Tianxian Martial School's team of 8. If they could get first place, the entire team would be able to enter the bone refining formation. If Xiao Yuemei were to join the Tianxian Martial School's team, their chances of winning would be even higher. That was why Guo Cheng was so angry. There are a lot of ghost beasts. You should be able to kill at least 100 ghost beasts. This is the storage spirit artifact I gave you. You must take good care of it. Guo Cheng took out 8 large storage bags. They were like bags and looked very simple and crude. The students of the Tianxian Martial School were all overjoyed to be able to obtain a storage spirit artifact, even though it was only temporarily lent to them. As for the students of the Ling Xianwu Academy, they also received the storage spirit artifacts that their vice principal had distributed. There were also large bags made from bee skin, and their techniques were extremely clumsy. What about me? Xiao Yuemei frowned slightly and asked, None for you. What if you lose it? Can you afford it? Guo Cheng sneered. That's right. If the 2 of you go, there's a high chance that you'll die. Wu Yuqin sneered. It's a waste to give it to you. When Qin Yun heard that, he smiled. Then, he took out a bracelet and handed it to Xiao Yuemei. He said with a smile, Yuemei, this is a storage bracelet that I refined. If you lose it, then lose it. I'll just refine another one for you. If you bring along a storage spirit artifact like that, it will humiliate your image. Only trash would use that kind of thing. A bracelet-shaped storage spirit artifact was small and exquisite. It was extremely precious. Compared to this exquisite storage bracelet, that kind of shabby storage spirit artifact really looked like it was used by a trash. However, many people couldn't even get their hands on a broken bag. Guo Cheng had almost forgotten that Qin Yun could forge a storage spirit artifact. He never expected Qin Yun to be so willing to give away such a precious item in one go. The crowd burst into an uproar. They thought that the storage belt refined by Qin Yun was an extremely good storage spirit artifact. As for this storage bracelet, it seemed to be even more precious and beautiful. They suddenly understood why Xiao Yuemei fell in love with Qin Yun. It was because he was an inscription master who could forge a storage bracelet. You can use it with a drop of blood. Qin Yun smiled faintly. He did not feel the slightest bit of heartache giving away a storage bracelet because he could refine it in a day. Chapter 135. A scary mirror. After Xiao Yuemei put on the bracelet, she saw the faces of the black-level martial arts academy students filled with jealousy. She immediately felt extremely refreshed and happy to the extreme. Of course, she wouldn't reveal her true side in front of so many people. Otherwise, she would definitely jump up and down in joy. She said softly, "Thank you, Brother Yin." Then, she dripped a drop of blood on the storage bracelet. With a flash of white light, the bracelet recognized her as its master. Xiao Yuemei immediately placed her bag and soared into the space inside. Storage bracelet. Even those teachers don't have such a good storage spirit artifact, right? That's right. The smaller the storage spirit artifact, the better. Big burdens like us are the worst kind. It said that there are even better ones like necklaces, rings, and thumb rings. This Qin Yun is really something. How can he casually give away this kind of thing? Even if it's his own woman, he shouldn't give it away so easily. It's too enviable. Du Gui chuckled and said, "We can set off now. I hope all of you can return alive in a month." The three teams were filled with confidence as they walked out of the valley towards the depths of the Cloud Dragon mountain range. Before leaving, Xia Wufeng, Huizhong, and Murong Darren also came over to send Qin Yun off. After Qin Yun and Xiao Yuemei left the valley, they ran as fast as they could. They had to stay away from the other two teams to avoid being besieged by them. Xiao Yuemei also knew that Qin Yun had many enemies. Furthermore, he was an inscription master and had grasped precious spirit inscriptions. He would be targeted by others, which was why she was worried that the two teams would attack Qin Yun. "Remember to remove our footprints and auras so that those fellows won't be able to track us down," Xiao Yuemei said. Although the mental strength of those two teams is not as strong as ours, they entered the black-level martial arts academy relatively early and started cultivating the Vajra bone very early. If we were to be besieged by them, it would be very dangerous. Yuemei, your sister's cultivation in the Tianxian Martial Arts Academy should be different from that of ordinary students, right? Qin Yun asked. It could have been the same, but in order to make herself stronger, she chose an even more cruel method to cultivate. Xiao Yuemei stopped and began to carefully clear away the traces around her. She was much more cautious than Qin Yun. As for Qin Yun, he was vigilant of his surroundings to prevent any ghost beasts from suddenly attacking. Xiao Yuemei raised her hand and shook the storage bracelet on her wrist. She said with charming smile, "Is this storage bracelet really for me? Don't take it back. Even if I want to take it back, you definitely won't give it back to me." Qin Yun said with smile, "It's like throwing a meat bun at a dog. There's no return. You are the puppy." Xiao Yuemei pouted coquettishly. "Hurry up and go. We're not far enough from them." "All right, Teacher Du didn't seem to tell us how to find ghost beasts." Qin Yun did not know how to search either. The last time he entered with Xia Wufeng and company, he did not sense the aura of a ghost beast. Let's go deeper and take a look. The disciples of Blue Spirit Star Palace were attacked in the depths. Qin Yun said. They had been running in the Cloud Dragon mountain range for more than half a day, passing through many forests, and could be considered to have entered the depths. The trees here were even larger. They were more than 100 meters tall. Some are even 200 meters tall and more than 10 meters thick. There are so many giant trees here. This is my first time entering the depths of the Cloud Dragon mountain range. Qin Yun said. He carefully released his mental energy. If there was any movement around him, he would immediately discover it. Xiao Yuemei said, "If I can enter the bone refining formation once, I might be able to step into the 7th level martial body realm. I must get first place this time." Qin Yun was slightly alarmed. Xiao Yuemei was only 14 years old. If she were to truly step into the 7th level martial body realm, her talent would be as terrifying as her sister Xiao Yuelan's. "Yuemei, if we get first place, will we enter the bone refining formation together?" Qin Yun asked. That bone refining formation should only be activated once in a while, right? You will begin your examination in about 2 months, and we will need a month to kill ghost beasts here. Therefore, after we get first place, I will only wait for you for a month. Of course, the prerequisite is that you must pass the examination and enter the Star Xianwu Academy. Otherwise, I can only enter the bone refining formation by myself. Xiao Yuanmei poked Qin Yun's waist and said with a coquettish smile, I'm really worried that you won't be able to pass the examination. I heard that the examination is getting harder and harder. You don't have to worry about me. When the time comes, I will definitely be able to enter the bone refining formation with you. Qin Yun curled his lips and said, we should win this competition first. Otherwise, it would all be empty talk. Up until now, we haven't encountered a single ghost beast. Looks like that's the only way. Xiao Yuanmei suddenly turned around and took out a mirror. The mirror was only the size of a palm, and its frame was purplish gold. It also had a very exquisite purplish gold handle. Xiao Yuanmei held onto the handle, looked at the mirror, and hummed a tune. What did you have a mirror? Qin Yun leaned over to take a look and could not help but cry out. Why is there you in the mirror and not me? What's going on? Because you're not human. You've been possessed by an evil spirit, Xiao Yuanmei said with a serious expression. Qin Yun was immediately alarmed as his face was filled with fear. Yuanmei, is this true? He. Of course it's not true. I'm just joking. Xiao Yuanmei laughed until she was trembling like a flower. Look at how scared you are. Damn girl. Qin Yun could not help but curse. He was truly frightened just now. Xiao Yuanmei continued to look at the mirror and could not help but frown. Then, she stared at Qin Yun and said in a low voice, Qin Yun, do you have two martial spirits? Qin Yun was alarmed again, but he did not bat an eyelid. He said, how is this possible? Liar. Xiao Yuanmei walked over and pinched his arm. You have two martial spirits. Quickly tell me the truth. I'm not lying to you. Qin Yun would not admit it even if he was beaten to death. He was worried that Xiao Yuanmei would leak it out. Are you worried that I'll tell others this secret? Xiao Yuanmei quickly guessed it and said with a mysterious smile, why don't we make an exchange? I'll tell you my martial spirit, and you tell me about your second martial spirit. I don't have a second martial spirit. Don't think too much. Qin Yun laughed. Don't try to lie to me. My mirror can sense any soul body in the surroundings. Xiao Yuanmei raised a small mirror in her hand and said with a delicate snort, through the mirror, I can sense that you have three soul bodies. One is your own soul. The other two are not martial spirits. What are they? Qin Yun is stunned. Xiao Yuanmei actually has such a good thing. He hesitated for a moment and said, all right, I do have two martial spirits. Chapter 136. Ghost Beast Horde. Qin Yun dug his ears and nodded. Back then, he had indeed suddenly used the power of the vibration martial spirit to cripple Shaolang. Well done. I've been unhappy with this guy for a long time. He's been thinking about who to marry me to all day. He's planning to use this method to exchange benefits. Xiao Yuanmei snorted lightly. Tell me your second martial spirit, and I'll tell you my martial spirit. We'll exchange, how about it? You speak first, beauties first, Qin Yun said with a smile. In any case, he felt that his second martial spirit had been discovered, so it didn't matter if he told her. Xiao Yuanmei waved the mirror in her hand and said, my martial spirit is this mirror, a purple gold martial spirit. I don't know if it's a legendary martial spirit or not. Really, you're not lying to me, are you? Qin Yun did not believe that there was such a strange martial spirit that could be taken out directly. Xiao Yuanmei said with a serious expression, my martial spirit was originally not like this, but after I cultivated it and fused it with my inner yuan, it turned into this mirror. So it's just a piece of crystal. Qin Yun thought of Xia Wufeng. His martial spirit had also been cultivated and fused with his inner yuan to condense into a sword. Then other than sensing martial spirits, what other uses does this mirror have? Qin Yun asked. Could it be that you relied on this mirror martial spirit to advance by leaps and bounds? Also, your mental strength is very strong. Is it related to the mirror? Qin Yun was only curious. I originally had the 7 sun spirit vein, but the 2 spirit veins only appeared after the martial spirit awakened, so others thought that I only had the 5 spirit vein. Xiao Yuanmei giggled and said, The most powerful part of my mirror martial spirit is that it can copy the martial spirit into the mirror. What do you mean? Qin Yun did not understand. For example, if your purple gold fire martial spirit is reflected by my mirror will have a purple gold fire martial spirit. Then, it will be equivalent to me possessing a purple gold fire martial spirit. Xiao Yuanmei said proudly. Qin Yun was stunned. He was extremely shocked. How is this possible? If you reflect on many martial spirits, wouldn't you have many martial spirits? Xiao Yuanmei giggled and nodded. More or less. But I can only use the power of one martial spirit, and every time I change my martial spirit, I have to wait a year before I can change it. It's just that after I switch to the purple gold fire martial spirit, it will take a year before I can switch to another one. Qin Yun said, that's more like it. If I could switch at any time or release the power of multiple martial spirits at the same time, it would be too terrifying. Xiao Yuanmei said with gentle smile, not now, but maybe in the future. Martial spirits could evolve on their own. Maybe they could switch once every half a year, or they could use the abilities of two martial spirits at the same time. Of course, if it wasn't a powerful martial spirit, I wouldn't keep it in the mirror. Your martial spirit is very powerful. Quickly illuminate it for me. How do I do that? Will I suffer any losses? Qin Yun asked worriedly. Don't worry, there is no loss. I took my sister's mirror. Relax your body. Let my mirror stick to your abdomen. Xiao Yuanmei said. Qin Yun nodded and did as instructed. Xiao Yuanmei placed the mirror on his abdomen and waited for a while before frowning. She said, doubtfully, there's a problem with your purple gold fire martial spirit. My mirror can't remember. And for some reason, I can't remember my second martial spirit. Qin Yun said, my second martial spirit is the vibration martial spirit. It's black. After Xiao Yuanmei heard this, she was so shocked that her mouth slightly opened. Then, she said with hidden bitterness, no wonder. That vibration martial spirit is of a higher grade than my mirror martial spirit, so it can't be copied. Humph. That's none of my business, Qin Yun said with a smile. Xiao Yuanmei was extremely depressed. Qin Yun's two martial spirits were very strong, but she was unable to copy them. All right, what's your sister's martial spirit? Qin Yun asked. One of them is a purple gold rank mental power martial spirit. I don't know about the rest. She didn't tell me, and my mirror can't reflect it, Xiao Yuanmei said. Qin Yun was secretly alarmed. He also understood why Xiao Yuanmei's mental power was so strong. It was because she could allow him to possess a purple gold rank mental power martial spirit. That was a legendary martial spirit. What surprised him the most was that Xiao Yuan also had dual martial spirits. When your mirror martial spirit increases in rank, I'll take another look for you. Qin Yun comforted Xiao Yuanmei and said with a smile, the purple gold martial spirit is not the highest. It can still be improved. Xiao Yuanmei continued to hold the mirror and said, let me see if I can sense the ghost beast. Her mirror martial spirit was very useful. Soon, she could sense the fluctuations of a soul body 10,000 meters away. Then, she immediately ran over with Qin Yun. After they passed, the ghost beast also sensed them and immediately rushed over. Illo! The ghost beast let out a series of howls. Qin Yun finally saw the ghost beast. Its body was that of a wolf, but on the wolf's back, there was a pair of human hands. These hands are covered in fur and were pitch black and thick. When a ghost beast fused with a human's limbs, it could gradually strengthen them. Use the spirit concentration kill, Qin Yun shouted. He and Xiao Yuanmei focused their minds at the same time and used the spirit concentration kill. They released a stream of mental energy that shot out like energy towards the wolf-shaped ghost beast. Illo! The wolf-shaped ghost beast that was running over immediately fell to the ground after being hit. It's a success. Teacher Du's cultivation technique is indeed very effective, Qin Yun said with a smile. Just as he was about to go over, Xiao Yuanmei controlled a sword to fly over and pierce through the wolf's head. Why are you in such a hurry? The strongest part of the ghost beast is the evil soul inside. If you were to be possessed, it would be very dangerous. Xiao Yueme coquettishly reprimanded. Xiao Yueme could control the sword to stab, and she could also condense her mental energy inside to stab the ghost beast's body and kill the evil soul inside. The evil soul has been killed. Xiao Yueme took out her mirror martial spirit and said after sensing it. Qin Yin could not help but admire her caution. He said with a smile, Yueme, with you, we can quickly discover ghost beasts. In this trial, first place is ours. Of course, we have to get first place. That bastard Guocheng actually looks down on me so much. I will get first place for him to see. Xiao Yueme coldly snorted. She held the mirror and continued to sense the surrounding soul bodies. She said, Strange? Is there a problem? Why do I sense over 100 soul bodies moving towards me? Over 100? Could it be a horde of ghost beasts? Qin Yun was alarmed as he hurriedly shouted, Let's run first. We can't fight the horde of ghost beasts head-on. After Xiao Yueme put away the mirror, she followed Qin Yun and ran. Chapter 137. Ghost Suppression Talisman. Qin Yun took out a few sabers and stopped in his tracks. He said, Quickly use the Imperial Spirit technique and control the weapon to attack the ghost beast behind us. Xiao Yueme nodded and took out her weapon. She injected her mental power into it and controlled the sword to stab out. Roar! 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 In front of them, many roaring ghost beasts appeared. There were all sorts of beasts, and only a small portion of these ghost beasts had human limbs. Kill! Qin Yin shouted. His two sabers flew out and killed two black leopards that were running towards him. Under the control of his mental power, the two sabers flew very fast. With a schwa sound, they chopped towards the two leopard heads, splitting them in half. The two leopards were killed in an instant. Xiao Yueme also used her sword to stab the two wolves to death. More and more ghost beasts attacked. There were dozens of them that swarmed over like a swarm of bees. They let out bursts of roars and roars with great momentum. The evil beast power that burst out from his body was like a tidal wave, breaking a large number of trees. Qin Yun was alarmed. He hugged Xiao Yueme and used his footwork to destroy the fire-flowing cloud. He flew in the air and dodged the dozen or so ghost beasts that were pouncing towards him. A horde of beasts can also use mental force attacks. When they roar, they can release a very strong mental force. If they're not prepared, they will definitely be attacked by that mental force. Xiao Yueme still had a lingering fear in her heart. Looking at the ghost beasts chasing after her, she controlled her sword to stab down. Qin Yin said, These ghost beasts can't fly, and I can move agilely in the air, avoiding their concentrated attacks. Xiao Yueme nodded and said, You are in charge of running in the air. I will attack the ghost beasts. She controlled the sword to pierce through the heads of the ghost beasts with great precision, killing the evil spirits inside. Very quickly, she killed a few ghost beasts. Qin Yun observed carefully and discovered that some of the ghost beasts seemed to be able to sense each other. At the same time, they let out a howl into the air and used sound waves to attack him. Fortunately, he was always able to avoid this mental energy shockwave. If he couldn't fly, it would be very difficult to avoid the concentrated attacks of the ghost beasts. In just a moment, the area that was originally filled with towering ancient trees was instantly flattened. The tree trunks were trampled to pieces by the ghost beasts. Some of the ghost beasts could even release a blood-red flame. Quickly go over there. Kill those big ones. Xiao Yueme said anxiously. These guys know how to use thunder and lightning power. Qin Yin also saw a few large black bears with blood-red, lightning flickering on their bodies. Boom! A few bolts of lightning suddenly struck him. Qin Yun released a surge of vibrating inner force to block the incoming lightning. However, he was still struck by the lightning and was in great pain. After absorbing most of the lightning power, Xiao Yueme was not hit. Are you all right? Xiao Yueme controlled her sword and flew over, stabbing a bear to death. It doesn't matter. Hurry up and kill them. Qin Yun focused all his energy on flying and dodging. He cannot attack. Xiao Yuanmei is the one attacking. When Xiao Yuanmei saw that Qin Yun was injured, she attacked faster and faster. Her mental power also became even more violent. That flying sword became even more ferocious. In a few blinks of an eye, it stabbed those few big bears. I'll use the spirit concentration kill to deal with these little things. Xiao Yuanmei controlled her sword to kill the ghost beasts while using the spirit concentration kill to deal with the weaker ghost beasts. Qin Yun carried Xiao Yuanmei on his back and quickly moved through the air. Although many ghost beasts jumped up, it was useless. After half a cup of tea's time, more than half of the 100 or so ghost beasts on the ground had been killed. The remaining ones had not died and had only been knocked unconscious by the spirit concentration kill. I finally killed it. That was really close. Xiao Yuanmei came to the ground and let out a light breath. She had been extremely nervous just now. After Qin Yun landed on the ground, he used the Imperial Spirit technique to control his weapon to kill the unconscious ghost beasts. Hey, you were hit just now. Are you all right? Xiao Yuanmei asked with concern. I'm fine. Qin Yun was injured, but he had light inscription equipment on him, so he could quickly heal himself. In a moment, all the ghost beasts were killed. Qin Yun had no choice but to take out the 2 storage spirit artifacts he had snatched from before to store the corpses of the ghost beasts. If you don't use your mental energy to attack, once you get close to the ghost beasts, they will use their mental energy to affect your consciousness. So when dealing with ghost beasts, you absolutely cannot get close. Xiao Yuanmei looked at the black blood all over the ground and revealed a smile. Looks like it will be much easier for us to kill so many ghost beasts in an instant. Qin Yun said, we have to suppress the ghost beasts in the storage space so that we can store more. We have to kill 200 ghost beasts to maintain first place. Xiao Yuanmei nodded and took out her martial spirit mirror. She continued to sense the surrounding souls. She frowned, her face full of shock. There's another horde of ghost beasts nearby. Why are there so many? Qin Yun's voice was solemn as he said, I just observed. The attacks of these ghost beasts are all in an orderly manner. It's as if there's something secretly giving them orders. The horde of ghost beasts is moving very slowly, unlike the fast attacks from before. Xiao Yuanmei said, could it be that there are all those big bears? Those giant bear ghost beasts that were a few meters tall could shoot out very strong lightning. They were also something that Qin Yun was rather afraid of. Just now, there were only a few of them, and they were able to injure him. If it was a large group, he could only run. How many? Qin Yun asked. How long will it take? About 80. Their speed is very slow. They walk and stop. According to their current speed, it will take them about an hour to arrive. Xiao Yuanmei said, if we want to run, it won't be a problem at all. Qin Yun rubbed his chin as if he was seriously thinking about something. After thinking for a while, he said, I forgot to try the evil suppression talisman just now. Evil suppression talisman? Is it really useful? Xiao Yuanmei also hoped that it would be useful. This way, they wouldn't have to fight so hard. Let's give it a try. Qin Yun said, wait for me here. I'll go take a look first. All right, be careful, Xiao Yuanmei warned. Qin Yun used the flame destroyer flowing cloud and walked in the air, heading in the direction of the ghost beast horde. Not long after, he saw the trees in front of him fall down in rows. They were pushed down by giant black tortoises. The tortoises were very big, and their shells were more than 10 meters wide. There were a total of 80 giant tortoises, and their bodies were filled with a strong, evil aura. Furthermore, they flickered with traces of lightning. They were giant tortoise ghost beasts that could use the power of lightning. It's so big, it'll definitely take a lot of effort to fight. Qin Yun threw out an evil suppression talisman. When it landed on the ground, a gust of wind erupted, enveloping dozens of meters. The power of the evil suppression talisman actually had an effect. The few giant tortoises that were enveloped by the evil suppression talisman were unable to move, as if they had fallen asleep. The other giant tortoises on the ground also discovered Qin Yun. The tortoise shells shook violently as a blood-colored bolt of lightning shot out from the center of the tortoise shell at Qin Yun. Boom, boom, boom. Chapter 138. Soul Essence. Qin Yun returned to where Xiao Yuanmei was and told her what had happened. There are too many of these big turtles. If we kill them all, we won't be able to store all of them. Xiao Yuanmei said with a frown. From your description, they're all very strong. It will definitely be very difficult to fight them. That's right. However, the value of the giant tortoise is very high. The tortoise shell can emit lightning, so there might be something inside. If we sell it, we will definitely be able to make a huge profit. I estimate that it will be worth at least 100,000 crystal coins. Qin Yun felt that it was a great pity. Are you sure the things inside these tortoises can be sold for that much? When Xiao Yuanmei heard that it was worth 100,000 crystal coins each, she was extremely moved. Her beautiful eyes flickered with a strange light. Qin Yun looked in the direction where the giant tortoise was coming from and said with a nod, "It should be. These giant tortoises need to first absorb spiritual energy and then gather it in their bodies. After transforming it, they can condense it into thunder, attribute inner force, and then release it to attack. When the time comes, I just need to go over and throw down the evil suppression talisman to suppress the evil spirits in the tortoise's body. Then you could go and kill those evil spirits. It won't be too strenuous to fight." Xiao Yuanmei was extremely moved when she heard this and nodded in agreement. If it was really that valuable, she would be able to obtain a large amount of crystal coins after selling it. In the future, if she wanted to completely get rid of the Tianshao imperial family, she would need to accumulate a large amount of wealth. All right, then I'll cooperate with you. After Qin Yun convinced Xiao Yuanmei, he flew forward with her and placed her on the ground as they approached the group of giant tortoises. He floated in the air and said, "Yuanmei, when you hear my shout, quickly rush over." Xiao Yuanmei nodded, took out her sword, and looked at the sky. In front of them, rumbling sounds could be heard. Those giant tortoises were pushing down large trees as they majestically approached. Qin Yun used flame cloud steps in the air and held a large handful of evil suppression talismans in his hand. After arriving above the group of giant tortoises, he accurately scattered them at many points below, covering all the giant tortoises. After the giant tortoises were covered, they seemed to have suddenly fallen asleep. The evil spirits attached to the giant tortoise were suppressed by the power of the evil suppression talisman and were unable to control the giant tortoise's body for a short period of time. "Yuanmei, attack!" Qin Yun shouted. The few giant turtles that were covered by the evil suppression talisman could actually move now. This meant that the giant turtles could break through the power of the evil suppression talisman. The suppression talisman could only delay for a while. Qin Yun also swooped down to the ground and controlled a few knives to stab into the giant tortoise's head. He injected his mental energy and wiped out the evil spirits inside. Xiao Yuanmei is controlling a long sword and a few short swords to quickly harvest the evil spirits. 80 giant turtles were killed by them in an instant. Your evil suppression talisman is really useful. You should have used it when we were surrounded. Xiao Yuanmei giggled, jumped onto the back of a huge turtle, and said, "Is there really something inside the turtle's body?" When Qin Yun released the power of his essence soul, entered the giant tortoise's body, he could sense a ball of very pure mental energy. The strength of the giant tortoise actually far surpasses that of many ghost beasts. It's just that its movements are slow. The evil soul inside is still very powerful, so to be able to cultivate a spirit crystal inside the giant tortoise's body, that should be the legendary soul essence. He used the power of his primordial spirit to seep into the giant tortoise's body, drawing out a green crystal that was like a green pearl. It was extremely beautiful. It's really his soul essence. Xiao Yuanmei was extremely shocked. This thing can be used to refine a spirit artifact. A spirit artifact was a type of spirit artifact that was suitable for using mental power to control. It was said that when refining it, a large amount of soul essence was needed. This kind of thing is very rare. Don't sell it. Hurry up and take it out. Xiao Yuanmei was very excited. If I had a spirit artifact and used the Imperial Spirit technique to control it, it would be even more convenient. Qin Yun used the power of his primordial spirit to extract all the soul essence from the giant tortoise's body. Even if they couldn't take away the corpses here, it didn't matter because they had already obtained the most precious soul essence. Very quickly, Qin Yun obtained 80 soul essences. I'll leave the soul essence with you for now. In the future, refine a spirit essence treasure for me. Xiao Yuanmei said with a happy smile. Remember, don't use it yourself. Qin Yun said with a smile. Don't worry. He looked at the giant turtles and felt that it was a pity. He couldn't take them away, and they took up a lot of storage space, so he could only leave them here. Xiao Yuanmei was extremely puzzled. She stood on the shell of a giant turtle and looked in the direction of the giant turtle. She said, Why are there so many ghost beasts? And they're coming for us. Along the way, the giant tortoise had pushed down a large number of giant trees. Looking at it now, it was very flat. Qin Yun said with a frown, These giant turtles are all water turtles. Could it be that they ran out from the Cloud Dragon River? Quickly take out the mirror and see if there are any ghost beasts nearby. After Xiao Yuanmei took out the mirror, she said with a smile, There's only one ghost beast nearby. There's no ghost beast horde nearby. It seems like we've killed them all. As she spoke, she skipped forward. Qin Yun followed behind her and looked at the evil suppression talismans in his storage space. He muttered, There are still 70 of them. I only used 30 or so just now. Not long after, they heard the sound of a surging river in front of them. The Cloud Dragon River is indeed ahead. Xiao Yuanmei giggled and said, That ghost beast seems to be hiding in the river. Qin Yun also saw the Cloud Dragon River. The river was more than 10,000 meters wide. The water was rapid and the waves churned. Strong winds blew and the momentum was terrifying. Xiao Yuanmei also slowed down her pace. The smile on her face disappeared and her expression gradually became solemn. The Cloud Dragon River is truly terrifying. It is said that on the other side of the Cloud Dragon River is the most terrifying place in the Cloud Dragon mountain range. Xiao Yuanmei's eyes revealed incomparable curiosity. Qin Yun had also heard of such rumors. If he wanted to pass through the Cloud Dragon mountain range in the future and head to the martial desolate land, he would have to pass through this dangerous river. Qin Yun, look at the surface of the river. There's so much mist. Xiao Yuanmei said. The water splashed and stirred up a lot of mist. This was also a normal phenomenon. However, the mist in front of them was gradually increasing. It was extremely strange. Xiao Yuanmei took out a mirror and shouted in shock, There's a soul body coming from the river. When Qin Yun heard this, he immediately flew over and grabbed Xiao Yuanmei. Then, he used the flame cloud steps and rushed into the sky. Crash! A huge wave suddenly splashed out from the river, violently crashing against the riverbank. Something jumped out of the river and landed directly at the spot where Xiao Yuanmei was just a moment ago. It was a giant beast that was completely pitch black. It was a giant lion that was more than 10 meters long. Its body was pitch black, and the mane on its neck was extremely dense. Its eyes were brownish red, and it breathed out mist from its mouth. Chapter 139. Ghost Beast Kinga Lion in the Water could actually spit fire. Qin Yun hurriedly dodged the ball of fire and began running wildly in the air with Xiao Yuanmei. This black lion's strength was extremely terrifying. It had reached the level of a Xian beast. Xiao Yuanmei lay on Qin Yun's back and looked at the black lion chasing after them. She asked, doubtfully, This guy is clearly a fire attribute lion. Why did he run into the water? Qin Yun also found it strange. He was focused on running and did not carefully observe the beast. He could only ask Xiao Yuanmei for some details. He asked, Is this a ghost beast? Xiao Yuanmei nodded. Yes. I can sense that violent mental power. It is indeed a ghost beast. It might even be the leader of the previous 2 batches of ghost beasts. Extremely likely. The giant turtle should have run out of the river. Qin Yun thought of some terrifying things and cried out involuntarily. There's a problem with the Cloud Dragon River. Regardless of whether it's a demon beast or an evil beast, they often go to the river to drink water. They must have been possessed by an evil spirit by the river. Within the Cloud Dragon River, a large number of evil spirits had appeared. He believed that this must be the reason why a large number of evil beasts and ghost beasts had appeared in the Cloud Dragon Mountain range during this period of time. This giant lion might have been a fire lion, but the evil spirit that possessed it was afraid of fire. That's why it soaked in water to cool down. Xiao Yuanmei guessed. If that's really the case, then this black lion's strength will definitely drop by a lot. Qin Yun's heart suddenly stirred as he wanted to take down the black lion. Qin Yun ran wildly in the air as the black lion chased after him. It broke many huge trees, and from time to time, it would roar at the sky. Xiao Yuanmei suddenly shouted, "Qin Yun, look at the giant lion!" Qin Yun turned his head and saw the black lion rolling and roaring on the ground. It seemed to be in great discomfort. He immediately stopped and carefully looked at the black lion below. The black lion looked like it was in extreme pain as it let out roars and continuously rolled on the ground. Its pitch-black body was overflowing with traces of faint golden flames. Ah, I can sense 2 soul bodies. Could it be that there are 2 soul bodies fighting within the black lion? Xiao Yuanmei shouted in shock. It should be right. Qin Yun hurriedly took out a few evil suppression talismans and threw them at the black lion. After the evil suppression talisman landed, it erupted with a ghost-suppressing power that enveloped the area. The berserk black lion gradually calmed down. More and more faint golden aura flames appeared on its body, and the black color on its body faded. Suddenly, a black shadow flew out of the giant lion's body, followed by a sinister curse. "Damned human brat, ruining this ghost king's business. I'll kill you." When Qin Yun saw the black shadow fly over, he was immediately alarmed. In a panic, he threw out a large number of evil suppression talismans at the black shadow that called itself the Ghost King. The evil suppression talisman burst out with a burst of energy, blocking the black shadow. Ah, how did you get so many evil suppression talismans? This kind of spirit pattern has been extinct for tens of thousands of years. How did you get it? The Ghost King's painful screams could be heard. "Qin Yun, do you have any more? Throw them all out and kill this guy," Xiao Yuanmei said. "There are still dozens of them." Just as Qin Yun finished speaking, the Ghost King hastily fled towards the group of giant tortoises. Xiao Yuanmei cried out in alarm. Not good. The Ghost King's speed was very fast. In a few moments, it arrived at the group of giant tortoises and entered the body of one of them. The giant tortoise suddenly came back to life and became very ferocious. It released waves of black gas that enveloped the corpses of the other giant tortoises and was devouring them. Qin Yun looked at the golden fire lion on the ground. It had more or less recovered. It actually charged towards the group of giant tortoises and let out angry roars. The Ghost King has devoured all the giant tortoises. Qin Yun looked at a giant tortoise in the distance that was emitting black gas. It ferociously ran toward the golden fire lion at a very fast speed. The golden fire lion is no match for the ghost beast king. Xiao Yuanmei's expression was solemn. We must kill this ghost beast king. Otherwise, after he defeats the golden fire lion, his target will be us. Qin Yun knew very well that if the ghost beast king were to chase after them, they would not be able to escape. He landed on the ground and took out the furnace and a large pile of precious high-grade beast skins, as well as the 2,000 purple coins he had obtained from selling the storage belt. "What are you doing?" Xiao Yuanmei said with a frown. "I want to refine a ghost suppression talisman array. Come and help me." Although Qin Yun was very nervous, he did not panic at all. He placed many beast skins into the furnace to melt. "What do you need my help with?" Xiao Yuanmei watched from his side. "Help me spread this out." Qin Yun took out the stone tablet of the 9 Yang Spirit Convergence Array and handed it to Xiao Yuanmei. Assemble it according to the lines on it, and then place these 2,000 purple coins evenly on it." Xiao Yueme nodded. Her expression was filled with nervousness. This was because the golden fire lion was roaring angrily and the ghost beast king's aura was very strong. It had already suppressed the golden fire lion. Qin Yun strengthened the flames and burned all the beast skins into soft mud. Then he stacked them one by one and used the giant king spirit hammer to hammer them together, causing the softened beast skins to fuse into one. He crazily used the six-style forging dragon to hammer the beast skins. Xiao Yuanmei, who was watching from the side, was incomparably alarmed. This was the first time she had personally seen the beast skins used to refine formations. Qin Yin was sweating profusely. He did not even have time to wipe his sweat. After the time it took to brew a cup of tea, the beast skin used to set up the formation was finally refined. Begin inscribing. The golden fire lion must hold on. Qin Yin was extremely anxious. He took a few deep breaths and began inscribing. Although they could run now, they couldn't run far. The Ghost King's soul body flew very fast, and the golden fire lion could only buy them 2 hours at most. In a short 2 hours, it was impossible to escape the area controlled by the Ghost King. The voice of the golden fire lion became weaker and weaker. Qin Yun endured the immense pressure to inscribe. He needed to inscribe several sets of ghost suppression spirit runes in order to have enough strength to suppress the angry Ghost King. An hour later, Qin Yun finally finished refining the ghost suppression talisman array. Xiao Yuanmei also threw 2,000 purple coins onto the 9-yang spirit convergence array. Qin Yun placed the ghost suppression talisman array on top of the 9-yang spirit convergence array and activated the array to absorb the spiritual energy within the purple coins. Then, he controlled the energy gathered by the 9-yang spirit convergence array and poured it into the ghost suppression talisman array. "Huh, human brat, you're dead for sure." The voice of the Ghost King was heard as the giant black lion appeared again. The golden fire lion was once again possessed by the Ghost King and turned into a giant black lion. Although its body was covered in wounds, its strength was still extremely terrifying. It would take a period of time for the ghost suppression talisman array to absorb energy. I'll leave this to you. I'll deal with this guy." Qin Yin still had some ghost suppression talismans in his hand. He used flame cloud steps to fly into the air and charged at the black lion. He threw out a ghost suppression talisman. Just the power of a single ghost suppression talisman had a pretty good effect, causing the black lion to roar in pain. Chapter 140. A desperate fight, the black lion struggled crazily. A moment later, it finally broke free from the power of the ghost suppression talisman. Then, Qin Yun threw out another ghost suppression talisman to suppress the black lion again. Every time he suppressed the Ghost King, he would use his strongest six-style forging dragon to beat up the black lion. The golden fire lion did not resist this time. It was obvious that it had been completely defeated by the Ghost King. Otherwise, it would have been able to disperse the Ghost King's power. "Let's see how long your ghost suppression talisman can last." The Ghost King laughed maniacally in pain. Not long after, the ghost suppression talisman in Qin Yun's hand was used up. The ghost suppression talisman array had yet to absorb enough energy. "I need to delay the Ghost King as much as I can and buy time for you, Mei." Qin Yun looked at Xiao Yuanmei and took out the giant king spirit hammer. With a loud shout, he descended from the sky and used the six-style forging dragon to hammer the black lion. Boom! Boom! The six-style forging dragon was extremely terrifying, but the black lion's body was extremely tough. It had already been attacked by the six-style forging dragon more than 10 times, but it was still standing strong. "Haha, you don't have any more ghost suppression talismans." The Ghost King laughed loudly as it allowed Qin Yun to attack the huge lion's body. Roar! The black lion roared and unleashed a powerful wave of mental energy. Qin Yun immediately felt an excruciating pain in his head, as though it was about to explode. Thankfully, There was a spirit star crystal in his mind that could release waves of mental energy to protect his brain. Otherwise, his consciousness would definitely be erased. He finally understood how the evil soul possessed the body of an evil beast. It was to release an extremely strong mental wave to erase one's consciousness. "You're not dead yet." The Ghost King's voice rang out, waking Qin Yun, who was in intense pain all over his body. Qin Yun was bleeding from his 7 orifices after being attacked by the mental wave. His mind was dizzy, and his blurry vision was gradually becoming clear. "Ha! Consider yourself powerful. It's good that you're still conscious. Then I'll let you taste all kinds of pain." The Ghost King laughed loudly before urging the Black Lion to stab into Qin Yun's body with a claw that was like a giant blade. Qin Yun screamed in pain as blood gushed out. The Black Lion raised its claws and placed Qin Yun in front of its huge mouth. As long as he opened his mouth wide, he would be able to swallow Qin Yun in one gulp. "Don't worry, I won't let you die that easily. I want to play slowly, huh?" The Ghost King laughed out loud in a very relieved manner. Then, he controlled the Black Lion to bite Qin Yun's left arm and tear it off. "Ah!" Qin Yun let out a heaven-shaking scream. Xiao Yuanmei has been watching from afar. She can only clench her jade teeth and wait for the talisman formation to finish absorbing the energy. Only then would she have enough power to suppress the Ghost King. Arm. His arm has been eaten. After Xiao Yuanmei saw this, she cannot help but cover her small mouth. She doesn't dare to believe it. She knew that if Qin Yun used the flaming cloud steps by himself, he would be able to shake off the Ghost King. However, it would be impossible to bring her along. However, he didn't just walk away. Instead, he chose to face the Ghost King and even paid the price of an arm. This kind of courage and this kind of responsibility made her feel endless admiration in her heart. Her heart palpitated once again. Looking at Qin Yun, who was screaming in pain, her heart could not help but ache. Suddenly, the ghost-suppressing talisman formation refined from the beast's skin flashed with light. "It's finally done." Xiao Yuanmei was overjoyed. She hurriedly picked up the beast's skin and rushed towards the Ghost King, who was a few hundred meters away. "Little girl, I'll go find you after I kill this guy. Why are you running over now? What's the rush?" "Ha!" The Ghost King laughed loudly. "Go to hell." Xiao Yuanmei threw the beast's skin behind her with all her might and activated the talisman array. After the ghost-suppressing talisman array was activated, a large amount of white light burst out and enveloped the Black Lion. The entire talisman array also landed on the lion's body. The Black Lion suddenly roared and struggled crazily on the ground. It also threw Qin Yun, who was on the tip of its claws, away. Xiao Yuanmei anxiously rushed over and caught Qin Yun, who was covered in wounds. Then, she quickly channeled her inner force into his body to stabilize his injuries. After the Black Lion was covered by the ghost-suppressing talisman array, it struggled for a while before lying on the ground. The black color on its body also faded, and it once again turned into a golden fire lion. Xiao Yuanmei looked at Qin Yun in her arms with a pained expression. There was a large hole in his abdomen. She sighed softly and said, "This guy's mysterious yellow meridians are really powerful." The mysterious heart grass was used very well by him. Qin Yun's wound was split open. One could see many faint golden threads connected to it, like the threads of a lotus root. The most serious injury was his left arm. It had been forcefully torn off and eaten. Xiao Yuanmei looked at the wound on her severed arm. Her beautiful face was filled with sadness. She bit her lips and took out a scarf to cover the terrifying wound on her left arm. She was worried that Qin Yun would be agitated when he woke up and saw it. Not far away, the golden fire lion that was lying on the ground moved slightly. It scared Xiao Yuanmei so much that she hurriedly stood up and carried Qin Yun on her back as she prepared to run. "Little girl, don't panic." The golden fire lion actually spoke. Its voice was low, as if it was extremely weak. "Big lion, is it good or bad?" Xiao Yuanmei asked in shock. "I'm good." "Human girl, Don't be afraid. I have no ill intentions. The golden fire lion said. Then, what about my brother's arm? You swallowed it just now? Can you spit it out? Xiao Yueme pouted and asked in a low voice. Yes, his arm is special. It's branded with a heavenly lion totem. The golden fire lion struggled to move its body. It raised its head and spat out an arm on the ground. Xiao Yume hurriedly ran over and picked up the arm. To her surprise, she discovered that the arm was extremely hot. From the broken bone, she could see that the bones inside were purplish gold in color. She also saw the heavenly lion totem on his arm. Take it, and you'll be able to connect it yourself. The golden fire lion said. Xiao Yueme took the severed arm and connected it to Qin Yun's severed arm. A faint golden light overflowed from the severed arm. Traces of mysterious yellow veins appeared as if they had a mind of their own, connecting the severed arm. Qin Yun gradually woke up and regained consciousness. He was lying on Xiao Yume's slender thighs as he opened his eyes slightly. You're finally awake. You scared me to death. Xiao Yume laughed. My arm. Qin Yun could not help but reach out to touch it. He said in surprise, Wasn't it broken? Why did it come back? It was spat out by the big lion for you. It seems to have become stronger. Xiao Yueme remembered that when she picked up her arm, she saw that the broken bones had turned purplish gold and the muscles were filled with flames. After I sleep and recover from my injuries, I'll talk to you about the heavenly lion totem. The golden fire lion suddenly said, Young man, you should rest as well. Let's talk after you recover from your injuries. Qin Yun closed his eyes and allowed the 9 Yang divine spirit to absorb the 9 suns' spiritual energy into his body to heal himself. He still had a few light inscription equipment on him. At this moment, they were all activated and releasing their healing power. Xiao Yueme placed him on a soft cushion and put away the 9 Yang spirit convergence array. Just as she put away the stone slabs, she suddenly sensed a few auras. It's Wu Yuchen and the others. These guys have been attracted by the commotion here. She hurriedly ran to Qin Yun's side and prepared for battle. This was originally an ancient forest, but because the Ghost King had gone berserk while possessing the golden fire lion's body, all the trees within a few thousand meters had been flattened. When Wu Yuchen and company arrived, they saw a giant lion that was more than 10 meters long lying on the ground. They also saw Xiao Yueme and Qin Yun, who was lying on the ground. Ha! Xiao Yueme, your strength is not bad. You actually killed such a huge demon beast. Wu Yuchen's face was filled with greed as he looked at the golden fire lion. The other students were the same. They were all boys, and when they saw Xiao Yueme alone, they could not help but have improper thoughts. Don't come over, Xiao Yueme shouted coldly. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.